What is up, Friday Nighters? Welcome back to another episode of Just Another Friday Night. I am one of your two hosts, CM Chuck. Across from me, the man they call AA.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, guys. You're like, what the hell? Work's not even over. What are you doing here? All right, AA, but...
Well, maybe some people are off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It is going to be a long weekend with the 4th of July being on Monday.
Yes, sir.
National holiday. Most people, I think, are off.
Most people are
yourself?
Off. I am off. Yes,
I am also off. Yeah, so there you go, right? But we figured what better time for us who both happen to have a little bit of an early day. Say, we're going to bring you an episode early while it's nice and hot, while you might be at work.
That looks like Steve. Also drinking.
That's right, because it's Friday. Cheers, Steve. That's you.
Cheers, Steve. Happy 4th. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th indeed. Happy birthday, America. Guys, adrenalize me, AA. What's going on in the world of pop culture and the social media?
Man, is there a lot in entertainment? I know Thor will be coming out soon.
Next week.
They've really been hyping that up pretty good. No trailers, I don't think. The Boys, new episode of The Boys is out today. I think the final episodes of Stranger Things is today. I think the rest of those episodes drop. So
we have not seen any of the stuff we're talking about, so please no spoilers if you have. So, we know Jerry D from Totally Rad Christmas got up early to watch, so Jerry, no spoilers. People in the house though. Hey, see, look at that. We were worried you guys weren't around.
Yeah, Jason's like, "What's up, bro?
What's up,
Nothing
Jason?
Much, Jason." Rizzo in the house. Just another Friday afternoon.
Indeed it is. Yeah. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Yeah, in New York it's like what, 6? 6.
So. What would Jimmy Buffett do?
Oh,
right?
There we go. What happened to Charles? Did his boyfriend get him in the eye again?
Damn. There we go. Nice.
The first eye one. The first eye answer.
We wonder. It's still there. Look, remember One-Eyed Willie?
Hey,
they're both there. It kind of makes sense in a moment if you get it. No one said channeling Nick Fury. No, none of that.
No.
Right away, did my boyfriend get me in the eye?
Fury.
What wonderful. We went right for the joke. Pride Month is over, right? So people went right for that joke right there, the non-hetero joke. You know, we love everyone here. Hey,
CJ,
what's up, CJ?
by the way.
I knew it had to be you with a joke like that. Hey, AA, you know what did happen this week? Speaking, since we got CJ here, and I mentioned him. I reached out to him and Manny and Jerry and Anthony, to our Christmas podcasting friends, because I went to downtown San Antonio last weekend with my nephew and my sister and my dad.
That's right. Yeah.
And I met this really cool comic book writer from Maryland, and he had a Christmas children's book that he did there and a Christmas graphic novel that he did there. He gave me a really great deal on both. I purchased them. He said he'd be interested in talking to us on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
His name was Brian, I don't want to mispronounce it, Monge, M-O-N-G-E. But yeah, but by way of Maryland, but here in San Antonio now. He did not do the art, but the art is great. But he did the writing. He's working on some other stuff too. He's following us now on the pod, and we're following him back. And so I told him that I would get with you. We would see about potentially having him on. I think that it would be great for something to do during Christmas. I'd love to get a lot of these guys on, our Christmas friends on during Christmas. Since for us, we don't do Christmas all year like they do, but we would be perfect for December.
Wow.
I think, to get...
You got to lead on someone.
I got to lead on something there. So that's what I do sometimes. I gave him a sticker, so... and he signed my books. I'll bring them on next week to show. So
I'm going to have to read them so I can kind of know what
Jerry said the same thing. He's like, he said he'd love to get him on. He said he wants to, try to get his own copies of the stuff there too, which I told these guys I'm happy to ship it to you, So let's see. Rizzo says, I was thinking Nick Fury. Corey says, wow, y'all are a bit early today. Definitely, Corey. We want to get you guys while you're at work so you can plug in and listen now. Again, Roxanne, wow, early. Who's his first thing I thought was Pirate Chuck.
There you go. We said the jokes were going to come in.
Pirate would be good. Pirate Nick Fury. You know what I mean? Okay, I get CJ Garrett's a
pirate,
little bit,
pirate.
Very you, CJ. We appreciate that, man. But yeah, AA. I don't think there was really anything else going on.
I can't really think. I'm like, maybe a little slow.
Maybe a little slow. We're like in a lull, but there's like a lot of stuff about to come out and coming out. So, but we're going to be covering it in the next coming weeks, guys. We just talked about it with AA, and I just talked about it with each other and said, we were likely going to hit Stranger Things. We were likely going to hit Thor: Love and Thunder. We were likely going to hit The Boys. The Boys is like a for sure.
I can't wait for The Boys because I think me and you are like the big champions.
Yeah. Absolutely,
the
absolutely.
boys, like it seems like in our group almost.
Yeah, I know that other. Oh, you guys are watching it.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
But I think we're the loud ones. On the boys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Aaron B says, "What's up, fellas?" Aaron B, what is up, brother? Great to see you the other night and your bro.
Charlie was there too.
Yeah. He was hanging out too for a little bit too, and Friday nighter Jay Dallas, aka Juan,
I saw him
was
too.
there. So it was a good crowd, guys. For Dragonfly Karaoke, go check them out. Nikki Mitz does a great job being a KJ. We were over at Gibson's Tavern, so it was a great time there. KJ karaoke DJ.
Oh, okay.
They call him a KJ. Okay. So yeah, Corey says, "Go ahead, Double. It's hard to read with the one eye."
Corey says, "Sorry, been busy lately. Missed Obi-Wan podcast, which sucks. I wish I made that one though. I was a little disappointed how it ended. Wow, you're disappointed.
Whoa, I love
how
the
Obi-Wan ended. Yeah.
I watched that episode 4 times.
Yeah, I've seen it about 3 or 4 times myself too. Wow.
I wonder what was the source of your disappointment, Corey? I would like to know. I think what you maybe felt was how some of us said we wanted more. I always go for more, right? What did we say? Double A could have been 8, could have been 10. We would have taken a beefed up version
Obi-Wan,
of the show.
like even if I didn't know what it was or what it came down to, I wanted a 10. 10 series, a 10 episode series. Why Andor is getting 12 when Obi-Wan is only getting 6? I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Disney's acting like the pockets aren't deep, right? They're
like Andor.
Are they hurting for cash, Disney?
Like
is that what it is?
He was all right. He's a cool character, but 12 episodes, fuck me.
Yeah.
Cassian Andor.
I know. What the hell, man? What's up with that? Rizzo says, The Boys is fantastic. Absolutely agree.
And he says, lots of great shows right now.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we're all probably
There's just so many on so many different stream channels. I mean, like I said, I just finished The Offer on Paramount.
I know.
There's a documentary. I mean, not a documentary. There's a series I want to see on Hulu about the Sex Pistols. I'm a big fan of the Sex Pistols. I just saw the first 2 episodes of Only Murders in the Building. I love that.
Okay.
I love that show on Hulu. It's with Steve Martin, Martin Short.
The one I'm hearing a lot about on Hulu Double A is Old Man
and Jeff Bridges. I heard he's been killing on
people
that
say
one.
that they're like, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. So.
And then Netflix always has a whole bunch of shows. And
yeah.
Paramount, Amazon, I'm watching The Boys currently on that one. And
I'm trying to get caught up with my Superman and Lois, which with the episodes I just watched recently.
And then I'm trying to watch Picard.
Yeah.
Because I heard that one's been great.
Really?
The Picard series.
I love Star Trek stuff, yeah.
Have you seen Snowfall on Hulu? No, I have not seen Snowfall.
No, I haven't seen that one either.
And then I want to get to the show you were telling me about, the Shadows one.
What We Do in the Shadows?
What We Do in the Shadows,
Oh my gosh,
yes.
so funny.
I want to get on that one.
It's a great, like, decompress watch. Like, when you're, like, tired of watching serious stuff, you just want to, like, have some great laughs. It's hilarious.
And that's what I've been hearing just from everybody, not just you.
Yeah.
But, everybody.
I got, more or less, my brother-in-law, your cousin Ruben, and his wife watching it, and they love it. They're just like, oh, it show's so damn funny. I know our friend Anthony Caruso from Tis the Podcast loves it. He's always posting about that show, too. It's a great watch.
Aaron, he said The Old Man is great. Aaron,
okay.
If you have Paramount, check out The Offer. It's about the Godfather. You wouldn't believe how much the mob was actually involved in trying to stop it and actually helped getting the movie made at the same time. So it's pretty cool. The Offer, really good show. Really good show. It's on Paramount.
Paramount Plus, right? Yeah,
yes.
That's the one I don't have. Yeah, Foxy Roxy and Holty Bear were singing its praises.
Yeah, and they're the ones who got me to watch it, which really wasn't twisting my arm. I love The Godfather.
Yeah.
I love how shit like that gets made. Honestly, if there's a really compelling story behind a movie, because at the time when it came out, it was the highest grossing movie of all time when it came out.
Oh,
it had the record until either Jaws or Star Wars broke it. So that's cool that at one time The Godfather was the highest grossing movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
What's crazy too, right, Double A, is that sometimes I don't know that I don't want to speak ill of today's generation, but I don't know that they could sit through and appreciate a movie like The Godfather. If it came out today, I don't know that it would have.
It'd be hard. I think it could work because obviously there's been generations that have seen it, and why it's still the number 2 movie on IMDb currently. At one time, it was the number 1 movie. Shawshank Redemption, it has that distinction of being the number 1 movie, but generations have seen The Godfather.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets addicting. It really does.
I feel like this generation would have made it into an HBO
it would have been
maxi
hard.
series.
It would have been hard. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, I guess it's the attention.
The 90s maybe was probably the last time something like that could have been done with Casino and Goodfellas.
Right.
Shit like that.
When you got a two cassette tape video, you know what I mean? It was 2 tapes, you know.
Yeah, big time.
I think Corey's got his thoughts on Obi-Wan here. He says, well, it left holes. Maybe a few more episodes would have helped, like the Ghost of Qui-Gon. But as I said...
he goes, like the Ghost of Qui-Gon, but as I said, that should have been the main plot instead of Leia. And then Third Sister ending what Luke was he goes, another note is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is on Disney Plus now, so everyone who hasn't seen it has no excuse. And I've actually read CM and Corey that people are seeing it a second time and are actually reevaluating their stance on it, where before they thought it was pissy, and people are actually enjoying it now more at the home. And it's kind of like what you kind of said too. Most people are saying that it looks better. On their own personal TV.
It looks really sharp on your TV.
Yeah,
at home.
So most people are kind of enjoying it more than they were at the theater. So, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Erin says she's going to check out The Offer.
It's kind of funny that people are kind of like, because we've always thought it was good.
I thought it was great.
And I've seen it like about 2 times already.
I was super surprised and pleased by the vividness of seeing it on my TV at home. And I was like, hey, sometimes these filmmakers got to make a choice, right? AA, like, yeah, it's going to come out in theater, but, I really want people to value it when it comes out. Which, hell, think about it. It came out, a month later, 2 months later that it came out at home,
But it's like you said, it's like people really jump to conclusions. Like when Avengers Endgame came out, everyone was saying that was the greatest movie ever. And it's, time slowly, it's kind of like, it's great, but not good now. It's kind of like people jump right away to...
About Endgame?
Yeah. I remember when it came out. No. I mean, I love it too, but how people are saying it was like the greatest movie ever. You know?
Yeah.
And then another movie comes out, and it's like, oh, that's the greatest movie ever.
No Way Home?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
No Way Home, when everyone was saying that was the best Marvel movie ever. I was like, wow, okay.
There's something to be said about those moments in the movie theater that just make you cheer.
It is.
Like, really
great.
cheer.
Luckily, we've experienced that. Like I said, I'm never going to be able to experience that Empire Strikes Back moment.
Man,
I'm never going to be able to. I can't even remember if I felt shock.
Yeah,
I felt like I always knew Darth Vader.
Yeah, I know. I that too.
So it's kind of hard. I'm never gonna get that fucking feeling, That's why I don't like spoilers, because I want to be surprised. Yes. And it's not like that with movies. It's like that even with wrestling. I hate reading wrestling leaks when they're like, oh, this person's gonna pop out like at WrestleMania. I want to see it at WrestleMania. I want to pop hard for it. You know what I mean?
Where's the joy in that?
Exactly, right? It's like, why do you want to know that it found out? But that's just me. I know there's a lot of people that like to know beforehand, but I just like being surprised. Like, the Cap moment, that's always going to live there.
Oh,
for us.
Gosh, dang, man. It gives me chills to this day. Yeah. Great moment. Love that moment.
Like, seriously, if that moment, like, if Obi-Wan had been a movie and Qui-Gon had came out, Liam Neeson, I would have popped fucking hard. The audience would have exploded. If that part, if that happened in the movie and that part happened, Qui-Gon turning around.
That last episode, AA, made me feel like if this did get released in theaters, I would go watch it.
Oh, man.
Because that last episode is fucking juicy, Junior.
Oh, man.
Really juicy. I was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I just got chills. Like, the fourth time watching it, I was
heavyweight, right? Like, that's something that we haven't really got with the Marvel kind of shows. Like, that felt like this is like, wow, this is like a fucking movie. We got the rematch. And it was a badass lightsaber fight, too.
Dude, even the heart of the exchange that the two of them are having. I could hear my sister crying next to me when I watched it with her. I was
because Ewan McGregor is so great at that. It's kind of like the same kind of emotion that he did in Revenge of the Sith. Where it was kind of like that disappointment, kind of like like you're supposed to fucking destroy him.
Exactly.
And here, he's like apologizing to him. Like, I'm sorry for all of it.
I'm sorry. Like, it was pretty much all my fault. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, that's deep. That's deep stuff, man.
I think his one eye's going to start tearing.
Trying to tear out of this one eye only. You know what I mean? So.
Corey back. He goes, people are judging new movies based on what's happened, but you have to remember the MCU has been rebooted. So look at these movies and compare them to like Iron Man 1 or Thor 1, basically all the Phase 1 movies.
Okay.
I mean, it gets to it after a while. Once you become like a juggernaut, all of a sudden people start turning on you. It happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It happens all the fucking time.
No one stays at the top forever.
Remember when Iron Man came out, it was kind of like, whoa. Like, everybody was blown away by Iron Man 1. When Avengers came out, it was like the biggest thing ever at that time. It was, what was it? It made like $200 million that weekend, which was like crazy. It was like something that had never been done before, But then when he started coming out more and more properties, people, I mean, look at Star Wars. People shit on every new property that comes out. They say they want more Star Wars, and then they shit all over it.
I almost feel like fans want new stuff so they can shit on it, which is fucking asshole-ish, you know what I mean?
I'm like, wow,
I don't know. Again, like I said,
I've been happy that we've gotten a Solo movie. I'm super happy that we got this Obi-Wan series. We're always going to have that Darth Vader Obi-Wan rematch. That's always going to be awesome. The Rogue One, how they sold the plans. I love stories like that. We buy comics like that.
Yeah, totally.
When it has like stuff like that, side stuff that you don't know about.
And there's more side stuff. Me and Double A were just having a conversation the other day about when does Darth Vader realize that Luke is his son? And I was like, that may be the plot of the Obi-Wan season 2 that people say they want. Yeah. And they could get more flashbacks. The flashback stuff was great. You could definitely do that. My mind just sidetracked real quick, Double A, because I wanted to say about a great thing that I did do last weekend. Also, my girlfriend Jess, I know
she's come out on
the show.
Very popular YouTube video, the Women of
Madams of the Macabre. Which Jess and Rox will do that. When Jess and Roxanne are here, it's like easier on the eyes than us. So.
It was super popular YouTube video. Go check that one out.
But we got to go to the Vibe Center Double A for the Kings of Horror.
Yes, how was that, man? How was that?
You would have loved it.
I would have loved that.
It was so fun. Not only did they have kind of what we saw at the Pika Pika, which, by the way, I think Pika Pika is having an event.
They're doing it tonight
too. Yes, Summerween.
Yes.
But they also had Double A oddities. There were quite a few people there with oddities. There was a guy that did like taxidermy. So stuffed rabbits, squirrels, stuff like that.
Shit.
But when this rabbit was stuffed Double, he dressed it up like the rabbit from like Alice in Wonderland. So he had a really interesting twist on his taxidermy. I was like, what the fuck? This is some freaky shit. There was people there, Double A, that had real human bones or whatever, and they had signs up that were like these bones were curated, like with the right way, not like I don't know if they were donated or whatever the case was, but they were selling human bones. You could buy like a jaw and a skull, and they were selling coffin nails, and they were selling she even had what was like one lady had like a haunted doll. I don't know if it was real, but I was like, it looks scary as fuck, and it had like a thing a sign that said like do not open under no circumstances. But you had your classic like Funko Pops and horror stuff, but then there's always those people that come out with like a different layer of stuff. There was a guy that was selling like props. I guess he 3D print stuff.
Okay.
So he had masks, Double A, like Red Hood. He had like Deathstroke. But check this out. He was selling a fucking Joker fish that looked like a fish from the animated series, Batman the Animated Series.
Nice.
I wanted to buy it, but it was $40, and I was like, I'm not paying $40 for this rubber fish. But damn, is it cool?
It looked cool.
It was really cool. I got speaking of great shows, I'm just about to get caught up fully on Better Call Saul. Someone had a replica plate there. I bought that plate, the Lawyer Up plate.
Damn.
So it was pretty cool. I was like, $10. I was like, I gotta have that.
That's awesome.
Someone was there with a Halloween pinball machine. They had it hooked up for free. You could play pinball. So they really went all out. That Vibe Center is pretty big. And
okay, good, because I'm planning on going to the Lost Boys one in August.
I think we want to go too.
You should.
I definitely want to go.
Yeah,
I got a great picture to be signed too.
It's August, so there's plenty of time. So, and then there's they're having like some other events too. I think this month, like they're gonna have the Jason from Part 2, which I would like to get an autograph.
Okay,
the first Jason, and then
is this the first time we get the hockey mask?
No, this is him in the bag.
Right? Oh, in the bag.
Yeah, bag. Yeah, okay. And then I think it's the Jason from New Chapter, but that is one guy that I don't have an autograph from, a Jason actor. And it'd be cool to get one from Jason Part 2.
What are you going to get signed?
Part 2.
You have something?
I don't know. No, I don't know what I'm going to get, but like we have a Linda Blair autograph. We have a Robert Englund autograph. I got Nick Castle. Nick Castle is the one who played Michael Myers in the very first Halloween.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So like we got what's his name from Saw? Tobin Bell.
Tobin Bell. Uh-huh.
So we got like a lot of like the big name kind of like classic horror monsters. So, but I don't have a Jason.
Yeah.
I think the only time I had ever come across was 2014, and which was Kane Hodder, which probably is the one that's played Jason the most times.
Yeah.
But to have maybe the first Jason, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be cool.
So part 2, I'm looking forward to that one.
Okay. So, when is that event?
It's sometime in July. I can't remember.
Is that at the Vibes? Or
yes.
Is that, okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I would love to go again. I had a blast. There was so much stuff that it was like I couldn't. You couldn't take enough money because
the
just
Pika Pika was cool, but man, that was really small and really hot.
Yeah,
it was really small, really hot. So.
Some of the same vendors were there, and they kind of said this. They said that was a cool event because they were like, "Man, it was a full place," but they were like, "Man, like." There was not enough room for all of us, and I was like, "This place was much more spread out." Because I'm sure have you seen concerts at Vibes?
Yes, I have.
So you know how there's like the 2 rooms, right? Like where the bar is, and then that separate room. They were both full.
Okay,
and it was lots of room to walk around and stuff like that. Like we had a good time.
That's the thing I can't take. I hate bumping into people.
Yeah.
I try to avoid it. I don't like touching people. I don't like people touching me.
Yeah.
When I'm going like this, I'm going like that. I just don't. I don't like it.
I get you.
That's why I love going to Comic Cons. That's why when you have gone with me, when we gone on those Fridays, it's great because we can walk around
and it's more chill.
I hate walking around on Saturdays.
Yeah, when it's insane there.
Like,
Sundays can be good too because it's like
Sundays are good too.
Sundays
are good too.
And maybe that was another factor. AA. This was a 2-day, Saturday and Sunday. We went on the Sunday.
Oh,
and so we didn't go on the Saturday, which was from 5 to 11. We went on Sunday, which was 12 to 6, and we went like in the last 2 hours. So we went from like 3 to 6.
Okay.
And at about like 5:30, a lot of people were packing up. We were just again. The Crypt Keeper was there at this one. It was John Custer.
He was great.
Oh, he was coming on and being like, "Okay, last chance, kiddies," and like even Jess, like we would all stop to like hear him. We're like, "Oh, he still sounds great."
He's great.
So, I would have loved to meet him, but it was like $50, and I was like, we're good.
That's kind of become the normal now. When we're starting to go to Comic Con, it was kind of like 40.
Yeah,
it's kind of becoming 50 is kind of becoming the new normal.
It definitely is, man. I did wear my Old Chief Woodenhead shirt and got quite a few compliments on that. People were like,
that shirt's great.
That's
a great shirt.
I love that shirt. I love that shirt. Creep Show too, guys. That's my favorite story from that one. But
I actually saw that one on Amazon.
Nice.
I love that one.
Love it. Well, AA, what do you think? Without further ado, we should get into it?
Yeah, so we always kind of like have a trend where we try to, like on 4th of July or like Memorial Day, which we didn't really get to do this time.
No.
But we had always kind of done like a Punisher kind of story. Well, there wasn't really like a Punisher story that we can really think of right off the bat. So I was like, well, you know what? There's another series that Garth Ennis did. Which is considered his masterpiece. And there's about 2 issues that kind of focus on kind of like the military theme. And it's from Preacher issue 18 and issue 50.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of more focused on, the title character is Jesse Custer, but the main, it kind of focuses on his dad, John Custer. So we wanted to kind of like dive into like these 2 issues today.
And I don't plan to wear this eye patch the whole time, AA. So let's show them this cover of issue 50 so you can kind of see
50,
why.
50 is the reason why.
And AA's issue is autographed here, but there you see.
And you see names in the background. That's the memorial wall?
That's right. Yeah, the Vietnam memorial.
Okay, and there's Jesse wearing the patch like CM is wearing.
There you go, right? Okay. Yeah. And I think they make...
And then what a great title this is, right? Of this one, where it's a trade paperback. I didn't say which one it is.
That's number 3.
Number 3, okay. And it's Proud Americans. And you kind of see like great art by Glenn Fabry here.
Yes. Love the Glenn Fabry art.
I mean, Jesse just looks badass with the American flag behind him.
Yeah. And then here's Jesse again, which even the Spaceman tells him, again, for our Spotify and YouTube viewers, you can see the images there, but he tells him... hey, you're looking more and more like your daddy, except for the eye patch or whatever. So that's the reason for me wearing the eye patch, although these stories don't focus particularly on Jesse.
No.
So with that note, I'm going to flip it back up here. So
And I've told CM this is kind of like a series we kind of have to like revisit.
All the time.
Preacher is just a really great series. It was only 66 issues. He had a start and he had an end. So he knew where he was going to go. It was written by Garth Ennis, art done by the late, great Steve Dillon. Garth Ennis is a writer that me and CM love a lot. He's actually the one who kind of introduced me to Garth Ennis. I had not heard of Garth Ennis prior to anything. I didn't know any of Garth Ennis' work. CM kind of told my brother, which kind of pretty much came through me, like, oh, Preacher, Garth Ennis. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I kind of started reading Preacher after he was reading it, and just great stuff. Just great.
I always give credit to my good friend from art class in 10th grade, Benjamin Warlick, who was a freshman when I was a sophomore. He was the one that handed me the first and second trade paperbacks of Preacher, along with a trade paperback of the comic book The Authority. I had heard of this stuff, but I'd never read it. I was always a Marvel guy, always only superheroes, bright colors. Never read stuff that was kind of like meant to be kind of like rooted in reality. Never read a comic book with cuss words. Never read a comic book with sex. I was just like, what the fuck is this? And I was just blown away. And if you know, you've heard me say it on this podcast before in our very early episodes, my favorite comic book story is Preacher. I'm wearing a shirt from the show, which I do not love nearly as much. It's a fine show. It's okay.
Sam.
Go ahead.
Joe, thanks for coming in. I hope your boys do real good.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Good. So, best of luck to you guys,
thanks
Joe.
For all support again, Joe.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you being here. Yeah, we were hoping us being earlier would be early for you, but it looks like you're on the way to the game. So
good luck to you guys. Okay?
Yes, best of luck, man, to you and the guys. I hope you guys get the W.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Sam. I don't know where Rogan was kind of going with the show. I don't know.
They fucked it up. It totally lost the spirit of Preacher, which again, just reading these two issues, AA, I was like, this is easily one of the finest comic books anyone will ever read.
And what they did to John, because John ended up being my favorite character, just on like these two strong issues and some flashbacks. John Custer was my favorite character. I got to tell Garth Ennis that. I got to tell him that this was issue 50 was my single favorite issue of Preacher, and that John Custer was my favorite character, which he was like, oh man, that's great. That's great stuff.
And so that's another distinction about Garth Ennis is that me and AA have the pleasure of, like, before we had this podcast, whatever, you know, in 2015, 2015, we had the, you know, it was a kind of difficult time in my life.
It was
extremely difficult. But this moment happened where my favorite comic book writer who's written my favorite comic book story is coming to Heroes and Fantasies. And like, despite all that was going on, a lot of weird stuff happened that summer. I also met Rob Gronkowski that summer. Yeah. But then here I get to meet my favorite writer with you. Yeah. And like, we just get to have this cool moment.
It was kind of a moment that CM can kind of forget all his troubles a little bit. Just a moment, you know, and you know, it was just super cool. It was like, man, me and him were like super excited. We got our VIP pass, and we got there super early. We were like the number 1 and number 2 in line, you know. So that was really cool. And we waited. We talked like the whole time, so it was never boring.
No.
And as soon as the man came in, I was kind of a little nervous. I know CM was definitely nervous.
I was super nervous.
You know, he even told me, he goes, you go first. I need to get my shit together.
Yeah, because I still did freeze because I normally, you guys know I don't know how to shut up. So it's like, well, I kind of got.
But this is someone that we like. We love his stuff from Preacher, from Punisher, from, you know, all sorts of stuff. This is one of my favorite writers, but maybe Sam's favorite writer. You know,
absolutely.
It's a big difference, you know, there. You know, it's kind of like, fuck, this is my guy. You know, I'm actually meeting the guy who created Preacher. You know, this great series of angels and demons and hell and, you know, Texas and, you know, all this great stuff all put together.
Not to mention
great Western, neo-Western kind of.
Even at that time, you were already up on the Punisher at that time. His work on Punisher. Yeah. Probably our favorite Punisher run. We've covered it on this show numerous times. I mean, you guys probably think like, shit, the only comic they talk about is Punisher, the Garth Ennis Punisher. But that's how damn much we love it.
Which it seems like a lot of people really like it when we talk Punisher. Those are some of our most popular episodes.
The thing about it too, guys, is that like what people don't know is that like although it has it's very adult oriented and a lot of themes, it's also so funny. There's so much humor in this. I told AA I reread, you know, issue 50 first. Excuse me. And I was laughing out loud and I forgot that this was like a laugh out loud comic. I mean, like, and this is like me and AA's brother, you know, Will the Thrill, who has been on our episode about football. When he first read it, me and him would be talking about that. People would say, what movie are you talking about? We're like, we're not talking about a movie, we're talking about a comic. And we would be laughing, you know. I mean, like, it was a running joke with him and I, you know, about when we would talk about going out and getting boozed up. He'd be like, you want to do it again, you know? I mean, talking about the sexual investigators, Freddie and Bob, calling people that, be like, man, that fucker's like a Freddie or whatever, you know? Or man, look at it, you know, get a bugger like Bob. It's like, but nobody knew what the fuck we were talking about because nobody had read Preacher, you know? And then, you know, Double A got up on it.
Which
and
my
it was
brother
like,
still says, bugger me.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, you know, man, or it's bugger in time. Yeah. You know, Garth Ennis just has his fingers. He, to me, and I've said it before.
It's funny because it's like you said in the write-up. He's an Irishman that's writing about kind of like a Western tale. It's set in Texas. It's it's really funny. You know? And
he really has his pulse too on like to me again like he's like the Tarantino of comic books.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
By far.
And he has his fingers on the pulse of like, you know, a lot of things. You know what I mean?
This was really groundbreaking stuff. I remember seeing issue 1 all the time in Wizard. I mean, just that image. I mean, we have it hung up here. It's always hung up. I mean, it's Jesse, like, he's a priest. I mean, if you just looked at it for the first time, he's dressed up like a priest, holding his hands like this, and the church is burning. You know, and you're like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
It's from DC's Vertigo.
Yeah, which none of us were reading Vertigo back then.
But what a great line it became after we pretty much Preacher kind of introduced us to Vertigo, and then we started kind of going into Vertigo, and man, what a great line. That's probably DC's greatest line. Oh yeah. Honestly.
Absolutely. Because what do you get? Sandman,
the Preacher, Hitman.
I mean, you know, it's just
we can do a whole podcast, honestly, on just the Vertigo line of DC, honestly. So it was a really cool moment that we got to meet him. Again, I got to tell him how I felt about this issue. See him was from what I saw was just, you know, talking away with him, you know, and he had some great stuff signed by Garth Ennis. I think he had some hardcovers.
Yeah,
right?
there's
some
two
really
hardcovers.
Great hardcovers.
Yeah, that recollect some of these issues here.
Yeah,
because you know they released these right, and they were like they're wonderful and they're great reader copies. These are like my reader copies, but this is like maybe like 6 issues. So they pretty much put like 3
them
of
down
these
really bad.
Yeah, they put 3 of these in one big one. So it's nice. It's a beautiful hardcover. Yeah, he signed them. It was awesome. I have great pictures.
I know the owner kept bugging me over and over.
Oh, kept gosh, you're number one.
Yeah, I was like, he goes, I've never seen a copy of this great before, and I was like, all right, you know.
Like, we'll get it graded for you, bud. Let you know how it goes.
Yeah, so, but I mean, it was so cool, and we're like, you know what? We don't really talk Preacher enough. Let's talk about these two, and it's kind of still Garth Ennis. You know, Garth Ennis did, you know, Bourne and Platoon that we talked about before. Punisher.
Yeah. And you guys know Garth Ennis because his ultra popular series right now,
The
Boys. He also wrote that. So when you ask yourself, like, man, there's a comic like this, there is. Again, the show is different, but it definitely keeps the spirit of The Boys of the comic book The Boys, which is very, you know, the characters are very there. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's Butcher, that's, you know, Huey,
that's Homelander.
You know, that's Homelander. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff there. Starlight is got a more prominent role for sure. So she's definitely doing a great job killing it. But again, the spirit, as Double A likes to say, is definitely there. But Double A, let's talk real quick about.
Real quick, can you tell us about your Austin trip? I really liked hearing about it when it was the premiere.
Oh, right.
It was the premiere, right?
It was, yeah. Okay. So it was South by Southwest. You showed the very first episode of the show Preacher. Now, me being the huge Preacher fan that I am, I was like, there's no way I'm going to miss this. Seth Rogen was going to be there. Garth Ennis was going to be there. Evan Goldberg. And then the cast, like Dominic Cooper. And I love this cast that they had got. You know, I don't want to... I forget their names right now because we're talking and shit. But let me
about what time was it? Like, about what time of the year was it?
It was hot. I know that. Like a South by Southwest. It was.
Oh, that's right. South by Southwest is usually like in the what? March
it's in April, but it was hot. It was already hot. Yeah, you know, here it's like, it's hot here. You know what I mean? So it's like,
when we went to go meet Jim Lee, and Brian Michael Bendis, and Frank Miller, man, it was brutal. It was fucking brutal.
Yeah, and remember the next day was nice and cool. We were all like, damn, we should have gone the second day. But yeah, Dominic Cooper, who a lot of us know from the Iron Man movies, plays Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, the young version.
The young version of First Avenger.
And he reprised his role in the What If.
Agent Carter. Oh, What If too.
Yeah, he's the voice. He did do the voice of Stark again in the Captain Carter episodes.
Yes.
So the gentleman's name is Joe Gilgun, who plays Cassidy. Ruth Nega is Tulip O'Hare. And she got Oscar nominated for another movie she was doing while she was doing Preacher. The movie that she got her Oscar nomination for was I don't know. I thought I was here, but I don't see it right off. But either way, I thought it was a great cast. They did great. It was a great job casting. I didn't care that they changed, Tulip from, being Anglo to being African American. Didn't matter. Great actress. But they lost the spirit of it, so that sucked. But
bad, real bad.
Yeah, I forget what the theater was called, but that's where I think I also saw the Hateful Eight there. Yeah, but then we went there. They did a Q&A with on the stage was like Dominic Cooper. It was Seth Rogen. Garth Ennis was there. No one had questions for Garth Ennis. I got in line, but it was only like it was a bunch of people, and people were all asking Seth Rogen like pretty much like how to become a star. I was like, oh come on, like
wow,
like that's what a waste of a question. Like ask about this show you just saw.
Wow,
because I went with Friday Nighter Aaron B and his brother Charlie B. We got to watch that premiere, the first episode or whatever. They had a great mock-up of the church upside down the shirt.
Nice.
It was pretty cool. I've got some great pictures of it on my Facebook. I'll try to post them to the group for this episode. But it was just a fun time, man. Cool event, South by Southwest.
It's cool. It's centered around Preacher, fucking comic book,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool. And people apparently that got there earlier and that were like active on Twitter got to like get a free poster and get it signed by all the cast of them. So I missed that, which sucked. But
thoughts initially when you saw the first episode? Thoughts?
I thought it was cool. There was some things I did definitely like, but there were some things I definitely did not like.
Going to be Preacher,
I could already tell.
Okay.
Yeah, number one, they took your favorite character and definitely one of my top characters of the series, John Custer, who what I loved about this when I read it was that, wow, Jesse Custer's dad was a Marine. My dad was a Marine. You know what I mean? Like, that was really cool to me. When they talked about, war and stuff like that and, like, being in the military, the way Ennis writes, it's very much in the know. The man must do a lot of research.
Yeah, I've heard he's a huge military kind of, like, buff.
He's got dozens of books about just war stuff. He had a whole series called War Story, and it was fantastic. I mean, like...
Yeah, like, some of the boring stuff, I think, was because I think, I can't remember the artist, Derek Robertson. I think his dad was in there.
Derek Robertson, that's right.
And so they had pictures, so it was kind of like they used kind of like real-life pictures as models for the boring stuff, which was great. It was cool.
And I'm sure Ennis probably loved talking to him. The man seems... Sure. We all know that there's these history buffs, military buffs, and definitely Garth Ennis, I think, is one of those, especially regarding the Vietnam War. But he's done a lot of stuff on World War II, also the War Story book. I mean, like those are very serious. There's not really any comedic lean to them because it's these very tough stories of that time. War is hell. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so it was a great moment, like you said, centered around Preacher or whatever.
And it lasted for a good amount, right? 5 seasons.
Right? I think they did. Was it 3 or 4? I think it might have been 4.
I think it was enough, though, right? To kind of
It was enough. It was enough to...
I think it finished out what I guess they wanted to do.
If you watch it not knowing the book, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, it's as okay as its own thing. But to me, it's like, it's not Preacher. You know what I mean? It's not... It didn't get the essence of it. And I guess Garth gave it stamp approval. I mean, like...
I'm sure, you know what, for him, he's probably not like Alan Moore. He's probably just like, man, this is really cool because, like, I read Constantine, the movie, is based on one of his arcs. Then you have Preacher out, which he probably thought would never even get made. Remember, for a long time, it was supposed to be HBO. For a long fucking time. And for whatever reason, HBO just didn't want to push the fucking lever on it. Now he's got The Boys. It was kind of like he had like all these properties that were being adapted. And I'm sure he was kind of like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm getting... Stuff for me is getting adapted. The Punisher stuff... So much of the Punisher movies, even though they haven't been great movies, they have taken a lot of stuff from the Garth Ennis era. Right. So, I mean, I'm sure he's just like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, right. It's either going to be one way, you're going to be like the Alan Moore way, or you're going to be like, hopefully like Garth. Like, hey, you know what? Now it's your chance to play with the property. Go ahead. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, again, not done justice. They changed John Custer from being a Marine to being
a super badass.
To being another Preacher or whatever, and it was kind of like, what? There's so many things that the show does differently, Double A, that's like, those are key elements of the character, of the story.
They were, because of how Jesse becomes. He becomes like that because of what he remembers from John.
And it's not poorly acted. It's wonderfully acted. You know what I mean? It's poorly written. You know what I mean? I think is and again, it's hard to say that it's badly written because within itself, the stories are okay. It's just not Preacher.
Who was the showrunner? Do you know?
I don't know. I think I thought it was.
Well, I know Rogan kind of gets these properties going, but like obviously, like The Boys, Eric Kripke is the guy that's making the fucking decision. And like I love Eric Kripke. I love him from Supernatural, and he does a great job. And he's just like really letting loose on The Boys.
Absolutely.
Like it is different from the books. It really is, but it keeps that same tone, that same spirit that you like. If you read The Boys comics and you saw the show, you'd be like, okay, they're different, but they're the same.
Yeah. It's like Shawshank. The story and Shawshank the movie, they're different, but the spirit is there.
When you read Preacher and you see Preacher, it's two totally different properties.
Yeah, they could have done just an AMC show and called it something else, and that would have been that show, and it would have been fine.
And maybe people wouldn't even have recognized the fucking similarities. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, because it's very different, But again, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about
kind of like trying to build up the Preacher series.
A bit of it, yeah. So we're talking about two issues in particular, and again, they focus on now. Double A, where does John Custer is now? Again, in my write up, I say I know he's definitely your favorite character from Preacher, but where does he rank in like the echelon of characters for you? Is he pretty up there for you?
So like, I love characters kind of like with him. He kind of sticks to like his guns, his morals. That's kind of like what I've.
He's a man's man. Yeah,
like, that's what I loved about Captain America. It's kind of like he knows what's right. It's not what everyone tells you what's right. It's what he feels is right.
Right.
And he sticks to those fucking conventions, those convictions, like really well. You know, I like those kind of characters. They're just kind of like, this is the right thing to do.
That's why you like Obi-Wan too.
Yeah. This is the right thing to do.
I'm seeing the trend now.
It's kind of like it's not what society says is right. It's what I think is right. You know.
Right.
So it's those characters that I love a lot. Like John Custer probably wouldn't like be in my top 10, but he's like one of my favorite characters. Like by far my favorite character in Preacher. You know,
I would say too. I think I kind of mentioned in the write up to a great comic book dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? When we talk about we've talked about TV dads and movie dads, but when it comes to comic book dads, you know. Sure, you think of Reed Richards, and you think of maybe even you think of Clark Kent, and maybe you think of Bruce Wayne. But
it's like you said though. It's kind of like the key aspect of Jesse's character is really what John teaches him.
Yes, yes.
He sticks like every time he almost falters, he thinks of his dad. And that kind of sets him straight again.
Right.
Right.
With my own nephew, who I'm trying to do my best to help raise, I wanted something good to tell him, and John Custer's words really ring true when it's, you got to be one of the good guys because there's way too many of the bad. And to this day,
of bad guys right now.
When I ask my nephew that, I'll ask him all the time. I'll be like, "Hey, why do you got to be one of the good guys?" And he'll tell me because there's way too many of the bad. So I try to keep that going there. I think this is none other than our friend Nene in the house.
And that's cool if that's you, Nene.
Yeah, who says, "Hi, cutie patooties." There's only one person I know that says that. That is Nene, a.k.a. Angel. What is up, my brother? I'm glad that you're here.
That is you, Nene. Congrats on your Trader's Village appearance. That was huge. I mean, man, you had more line than a lot of celebrities that go there.
Yeah, we've been to see quite a few celebrities at Trader's Village, but man, you were definitely crushing it. Loved seeing you with the kids and your fans doing that, man. Great stuff. You continue to kill it. We may need Angel to show up here and twerk for us to get our numbers up there.
Oh, man.
But yeah,
It'd be our highest rated one by far.
You're crushing it, brother, man. So we appreciate you and wish you continued success, man. Guys, don't forget. I've been thinking about something, Double A. I've been wanting to propose this to Nene.
Uh-oh.
Sadly, we had the passing of a San Antonio icon, right, with Mexican Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
Passing away at being over there at Market Square and La Vita, and now that won't happen anymore during Fiesta. So I would like to nominate Nene, a.k.a. Angel, to be the new, replacement, fill-in for Mexican Elvis. taking over at Market Square in La Vita during Fiesta season. I think that would be a great thing that you could do, not only for yourself, Nene, but for San Antonio and the fans that will be missing Mexican Elvis, brother. So think about that. That idea got birthed here on Just Another Friday Night. But let's get into it, Double A, right? So a little setup, right? So we're going to start with 50 or 18?
18. Let's start with kind of 18 because it's kind of important to kind of figure, going into 50.
Right. Yeah. So issue 18, there's already been about 2 arcs in Preacher at this point. Yes. And in this particular arc, he just finished a major arc, right? Which was him and his grandma.
Yes. Oh, man. Whew.
And he's actually on his way
until the end
until the end of the world.
Until the end of the world.
Yeah. And he's actually on his way. Jesse Custer, again, our primary character, is on his way to France, to Masada, because he's going to face off against this group, the Secret Society of the Grail. And again, these 2 stories that we're going to talk about have nothing to do with the main story. They're almost like singled out, but they add so much to the character, the primary character Jesse, because they or specifically relate to his dad directly, and the man that he was and the man that he is becoming and is also trying to be. Yes, so it's super important. It's super important. So Jesse's in the airport. Like, I'm sure if you're reading the series, you get to this issue, you just like Jesse's in the airport.
Preacher issue 18 is what the one we're referencing right now.
Mm-hmm. Jesse's in the airport, and he's sitting down, and he has a lighter. And for those of you watching us on Spotify, watching us on...
please go to YouTube so you can see the visual.
Yeah, I'm going to show you right here. This is my replica copy, and if you've seen any pictures of I have pictures of it on social media as well, but... right there, this might get blurbed out, but it says "fuck communism" is what it says. The lighter.
It's a really cool prop. It's a really cool prop.
Yeah. And Jesse has a lighter like this. He lights a cigarette at the airport
He's at, like,
bar.
at the bar, yeah.
And he sets it down, and the gentleman next to him, older African American gentleman, sets down the exact same lighter. So that's an interesting moment, right?
Yeah. And they both look at each other, and the character that we don't know yet, the African American, he goes, "John." And you're like, holy shit, like, this guy knows who Jesse's dad is. And he goes, "No, sir, that was my dad. Mm-hmm. That was my dad's name." And he was like, oh, shit. And, they have, like, a really cool little, interaction, kind of go back and forth. And he was like, how do you know him? And he was like, yeah, I served with him. I was with your dad. And he's like, oh, wow. It was like, cool. So he's like, you wanted me to tell you a story here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because he sits down. He goes, "Man, you look just like him, except that you look like he did back then." So to him, his face is even kind of scared. Like, how could it be you? You haven't aged. But then when he's like, "That was my daddy's name," then he says, "Man," he says, "How is he?" And he says, I think he says, he asks him about how he is, and Jesse
goes that he died in 74.
Yeah, he says he died in 74. So this is a key moment in Jesse's life. If you read the beginning of the book, when unfortunately Jesse's dad gets executed by these real redneck assholes. But the African American gentleman he's meeting, this friend of his dad's, he's telling him, wow, that makes explain why he has to look me up, and so then he's like, well, would you like to know a little bit about him? And he's like, yes, sir, I would like that more than anything. And he tells him his name, right? Double A, what's his real name?
Yes, he goes, Billy Baker. Billy Baker. But he goes, you can call me Space.
Yeah, and he says, they called me that on account I wanted to be an astronaut. So. And then right after that, he also shows him a picture of him and his dad, and Jesse's face is just shocked. You know what I mean? Like, Steve Dillon, what a wonderful job of capturing emotion, right? Double A.
Yeah. Because
no one could capture emotion.
Yeah, like he tells Spaceman, he goes, I don't have any photos of my father whatsoever, and he goes, you want me to tell you kind of like a little bit about him? And he was like, man, I would really love to, that was just anything that you can tell me about my father. I would love to hear about it. And so the issue kind of goes into Vietnam, and it's called Texas and the Spaceman. Mm-hmm. Texas was John's nickname
over there, yeah.
Obviously, because he's from Texas.
He's from Texas. If Forrest Gump taught us anything, right? Double A, you get nicknamed after where you're from. If there's nothing else cooler to name you after, I guess.
And so we go back to Vietnam, and he starts telling him about the story, of him and John, and kind of telling him kind of his attitudes and how he was and how cool he was to know him, and he tells him about the lighter, how they got the lighter,
Mm-hmm. Now, how about this great moment in the story, right, Double A? Because, again, if you've been reading along, you know that Jesse kind of has we won't call him an invisible friend, but in a sense, it's like an invisible mentor, right?
Yes.
And we kind of get the impression that maybe this is Jesse's way of like, I didn't grow up with my dad, so I need someone else to kind of be there for me.
Which was his dad's hero.
Mm-hmm. Who is none other than the Duke, right? Double A, John Wayne, right? So, and if any of you guys out there are fans of Tarantino, like me and Double A are, you're fans of the movie True Romance.
Oh man,
there's a scene with Clarence Worley or whatever.
There's a few scenes actually, yeah.
And he has his own invisible friend that only he can see. And in this great movie, it's played by Val Kilmer. But excuse me, Double A. But he's kind of his spirit guide, so to speak,
is like his favorite, person,
Elvis Presley, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I hope that they show that in this new Elvis movie, Double A. I want to see that he's talking to Clarence. You know what I mean? Okay. Lucky Clarence. Always have. Always will. So the story's great because it's pretty much Space is going to tell Jesse how they got these awesome lighters. That these are these Zippos, these silver-plated Zippos that say "fuck communism," right? I mean, it's like he's like, well, I got it, and I never knew how he got it because how Jesse got his dad's was that. After Jesse's dad got executed by this real redneck asshole named Jody, he took his dad's lighter. And to Jesse, he was always like, that's my daddy's, so I'm going to get that back. One way or a fucking other, right? And he does. So he doesn't know.
It's a brutal climax, too. Man, that's like one of my favorite arcs, Until the End of the World.
Absolutely. We should definitely cover that one.
Man, the celebration, that roar he lets out.
Yeehaw! Like, man, you read that.
Feel it.
Reading that feels like the end game moment when Thor
gets seriously,
when Cap gets Thor's hammer.
You can feel the I don't know, just the euphoria that's going through. You can almost smell the fucking place burning. You can smell the wood. You can live that moment. You can just feel that moment of absolute like excitement.
I one day want to write where someone says that about my writing, Double A. You can smell the wood burning. You could just literally like we're talking about it, and my hair on my arm is standing up.
Same here.
Because it's like a fucking a moment.
It's just a great arc.
That's Garth Ennis' writing, man. In this book, this is why this is his masterpiece because. I don't know any other comics that are like that.
I don't know.
As much as I love Kingdom Come, when Soup finally gets Shazam down, it's still not like this. It's not
that moment that because man, they just build up these villains that are so evil, so bad,
and they hurt him and his family so bad. They took his dad. They hurt his mom.
And then the torture that he goes through.
Oh my God, the coffin?
Yes.
The coffin?
Yes.
Double A? I mean, guys, I know we're talking about a lot of other shit. We will definitely come back to this because it's worth coming back to. But it's fucking brutal. You know what I mean?
And just, when he finally gets rid of all his enemies.
What's up, Anthony? Cheers, buddy.
And like I said, when he yells that, he just lets it out. You just feel, and it's like, damn.
And then reclaiming the lighter for him,
which is a huge moment.
It's a huge moment. You know what I mean? So it's almost like,
And he even says it too. There's a great line where he's like, "The last time you got an ass whooping was from my dad."
Yeah, which is great, which is super great. So anyway, back to Space telling Jesse about his dad in Vietnam and how the lighter came into their possession. This really cool lighter that says "fuck communism" on it, right? And what's the story, Double A?
Yeah, so John Wayne comes and visits them, and he kind of presents them with the lighters, and it's a really nice suitcase, and like John is like frozen, like we all are. When we meet someone that we're in awe of, he's just like absolute frozen. Like he actually got to meet his hero, and he actually got a lighter that says "fuck communism" from his hero. So it was like a huge moment for in
Nam. And then there's that great moment, right, where he goes, everyone's excited. Space is telling him everyone's excited. The Duke gives a little speech, whatever. He's like, but none of us even care what he's saying because we're just like, fuck, there's the man, right? He goes, and then he says, he stops in front of your dad and says, got a light, Marine? He lights it up, and then he says, what's your name? He's like,
he goes, Custer, sir, Private J, for John, sir. And then John Wayne goes, well, that's a hell of a name.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, shit. Like, you could tell he had a moment, And I love what Space says. He goes, man, none of us could even believe it was real. He goes, except Custer, Private J.
Private J,
he knew it was real. Because, that's just... Dude, that kind of reminds me of when we met Garth. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck, man. I was having a fucking terrible spell of life. And it was like you said, man, and just us being in the line, us talking, all of that was evaporated away because I was like, I'm about to meet the man, you know? I'm about to meet a guy that does what I dream I could do, that's written stories that I've read over and over and over again and laughed at, cheered with the moment we just talked about. And again, I wish I was Private Custer, Jade. I didn't have much to say, but I just was like, this was the shit, you know what I mean? So go on, Double A, what's happening next?
Now they're just kind of relaxing, it's nighttime and they're getting high and they're just kind of just telling each other, what was their first movie, just kind of thoughts on life, they're just talking, and then their friend Gani comes in. Gani Goring. Mm-hmm. He was kind of a slow, kind of witted dude, but it was someone that they took care of.
Excuse me, guys.
It was someone that John and Spaceman took care of, watched out for. It was the third guy in their group, and then they get attacked.
Yeah, incoming, right?
They're having just a really great moment, and
and guys, there's such a bunch of hilarious shit that's going on already. In the combat, you're laughing out loud. Literally, Gandhi lights a fucking fart in front of them using the lighters they just got.
Yeah, and they're talking about what their favorite John Wayne movies are, and John goes, Hondo was cool, but Searchers. Oh, I think Gandhi says Hondo, and then fucking Spaceman says The Conqueror.
Yeah,
he goes, the one where he's fucking Genghis Khan. He's like, you really like that one?
And this is a classic because it's what's the first one you saw is what it was. And then they say, this is a classic because I didn't even know about that movie. Right, that's a real thing, right?
Yes, it is. And actually, my brother kind of quotes this. He goes, "You're beautiful in all your rap."
Yeah, your brother does that.
Yeah, because John Wayne, he's this big fucking Texan, cowboy. And he's playing Genghis Khan, and he's not even trying to change an accent or anything.
Talk about Hollywood fucking not casting right at that time. Is this what a fucking You know who would be a great Genghis Khan?
Who would
John Wayne. That's who we should get.
John
That's
Wayne.
Who we should cast.
The guy who played fucking Davy Crockett is going to play fucking Genghis Khan now.
Wow, slim pickings at the time, right?
So my brother is he loves that line, "You're beautiful in all your rap."
Jerry D says, so early. I'm still at work. Not a problem, Jerry. Hey, man, if there's anything to help you pass the time, pop in the headphones and check out us here on Just Another Friday Night, the super early edition. More like Just Another Friday afternoon, like Rizzo said earlier. No worries, Jerry. Man, we either get you when you're getting the kids to bed or we're getting you when you're still at work.
Early.
So, hey, man, we understand and appreciate you just being here, brother, to pop in. We know that you're getting the best Christmas store in all of Texas ready to go. So appreciate it, Jer.
Yeah, so it's just kind of they get attacked, but then it's kind of I guess it was not too much. They're back kind of doing the grunt work, kind of in Vietnam, just getting the trenches ready, getting all that kind of shit prepared, And they talk about this Murphy character. It said Murphy was our gunner, but he's one of those typical assholes that you kind of always see.
Oh, yeah.
In the war movies, just that asshole, that real asshole that takes power to, in his head too much,
Mm-hmm.
And... they fuck with this dude. This dude fucks with them. He gives them all the shitty duties. They fuck with him, and
what really starts it off, right, Double A, is that, he's telling, Jesse's dad, John, he's like, oh, what, you're all happy because your hero, John Wayne, has the same name as you? He's like, man, I heard his fucking real name's Marion or whatever. And that just fucking pisses John off, right? He just fucking punches this motherfucker in the nose, busts his nose all up, what I mean? But, of course, they were saying he knows how to kiss ass, so it just meant that they got a bunch of shitty details.
Which we've had bosses like that. That. We was all of a sudden this guy leapfrogs over you, and you're just like, what the fuck? How did you get promoted? So they're going, they're doing their patrol, and they come across this village, and, it's the classic Vietnam story that you kind of hear. It's the locals that just don't care if they live or die, as long as they kill the evil American, and unfortunately this one killed Ghani.
Yeah.
And
an old woman with their grenade, he's trying to help her out of she's underneath some stuff. She comes out, she's clutching her chest, and when Ghani reaches to help her, she unpulls a grenade and pretty much they both just explode.
Yeah, I mean his blood, guts all over them. Their friend is all over them. It's ugly. It's really ugly.
Yeah.
And John goes apeshit. He just starts shouting that he's gonna kill Murphy. You know.
This panel right here, Double A, is one of my favorites. Where it's really quick. Just this is their friend. You know, Space and Texas. Space and John. They've been saying the whole time, man, Gandhi wasn't really a great soldier or whatever, but he could make you laugh. And they said, man, that means a lot over there. And you're like, fuck. And then like they just watched him get exploded because some asshole was pissed off he got punched. And there's just this great panel with no dialogue where he's just kind of spaced because John just is like, fuck, man, like he's just gone now. Like literally gone. There's not even a body to cry over. It's just he fucking got exploded,
So now they're planning really to like get after Murphy. But the only problem is they're LT. He kisses the LT's ass too much. And he's always sticking close to him because he knows that, John and Spaceman are fucking pissed with him.
A classic trope of a Vietnam story, right? Double A. You got to have that second lieutenant, that butter bar that don't know shit.
Platoon.
Yeah, my dad would always say, he's like, oh, these guys got degrees. They come in and they don't know shit. It's the sergeants and the staff sergeants that are running the units.
The sergeants, yes.
The platoons, because this guy don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like, they gave him a rank, but he's like,
So what they always say too, and I'm not too sure if this is true, if anybody knows, but obviously, and we've seen it in movies, you're not supposed to be wearing, if you're an officer, you don't wear the fucking shit out there so people can see it. Well, this lieutenant loved wearing his bars, loves showing them off, and he gets sniped in the head.
Sniper bait. Hey, what is that? Even Lieutenant Dan knew that, right? He's like, don't salute me.
Yeah.
See, Lieutenant Dan was a great LT. Yeah, shit. And so that's our second Forrest Gump reference there.
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to do a year 1994, so maybe we might get around to it. Cause,
there we go.
There's always that question: which ones really should have won Best Movie of the Year? Should it have been Forrest Gump or should it have been Pulp Fiction?
Man, you can just hear it now. Some folks are born made to wave the flag.
And great music on both. Man, oh man.
I always love in Jarhead when Jake Gyllenhaal's like, fucking Vietnam music? Can we even get our own music?
Yeah. So now they finally get, they're like, okay, now we got Murphy. Now we can really fucking get his
now the
ass.
LT's dead who was protecting him so we can get it. And how about this dead, Double A? Man, what a fucking gross, nasty death.
Yeah, so they get him in the shitter. It's like a barrel. They fucking tape his mouth shut. They stuff him in there, and then they roll his ass out to enemy territory.
And he's in a barrel, guys. The way imagine if you set your butt over a barrel, and you're fucking your ass went in, but you're fucking like you're under your knees, like your calves and shins, and your feet are sticking out, and you're just fucking like your arms and your top part is in, so you're like you can't get out. It's like the most compromising position to be in. Then they like Double A said, they tape his mouth, and then they fucking take him where Double A to like fucking the enemy line, right?
And past enemy territory where they know there's fucking the Vietnamese, and the Vietnamese just start shooting because they think it's a bomb.
Oh yeah,
they go off on him.
Man, his fucking dumbass, the dumb luck of he gets wedged in a tree, and fucking the Vietnam Army, they fucking have a rocket launcher, and man, they just fucking, not that he wasn't already getting shot up, but they're just like, oh, we're just fucking gonna blow this guy,
blow your fucking ass away.
Yeah, so it's like fuck. I can just imagine the spray, right? The fucking shit and piss and fucking body parts is like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up, but right here, he goes, I suppose it must seem kind of fucked up, us killing a Marine. And Jesse kind of goes, way it sounds to me, you did the right goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So Jesse, is kind of like, and that's where I kind of like the characters. It's like, it's, on the outside, it's like Spaceman said, it looks bad, but it's not, it's kind of like, no, this motherfucker, was not a Marine. Yeah. In the sense of what a Marine should be.
Where you're looking out for each other and your brothers. And
this motherfucker is trying to, to get you killed.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah, no. He was petty. He sent them into that village for no reason, and they lost a friend. You know what I mean? And Space has a really good line. He says, that's kind of what it was like over there. Like, either you were like...
He goes, yeah, but that's what it's like over there, If anyone fucked with you, anyone, you had to be ready to fuck them up good, because otherwise you'd be dead. And that's why your daddy and me was such good friends,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great fucking moment, man. Like you feel every word, you feel everything, and then again, so much credit to the late great Steve Dillon, man, who just
the facials,
look, Space's eyes, the way his face droops,
the great close-ups,
sadness to I mean, like, guys, like comic book art,
like really, if they wanted to do this in a movie, the storyboards are here. Like, this is it. The storyboards are all here, ready for him. And okay, this is how you need to react, like this, like how he drew it.
And me and Double A got a great casting. We just agreed that John Custer would be played perfectly by John Bernthal, man. I mean, just imagine that. Imagine, you guys have heard John Bernthal's voice, and like, you got to give him more of a Texas drawl, but like
I said, I did like your casting in the 90s. Man, what a great casting that would have been. Matthew McConaughey. See, I said Matthew McConaughey would have been great, and the hair that Matthew McConaughey did have in the 90s, golly, and his build, and he does have the fucking Texas drawl.
Big time, golly. He couldn't be more Texas. You can imagine
him in the fucking preacher outfit, man, and then Patricia Arquette from True Romance.
At that time,
she looks exactly like the way they drew her.
I mean, almost think that, like, is that who Garth maybe modeled them after?
So,
who he thought about,
man, and even the way she is in True Romance. Like, damn, that's like Tulip right
She's
there.
very Tulip O'Hare, very much so. But we got to find us a great casting for Jesse and that too. And we got to think about our Spaceman casting too.
That too, right? Yeah, so he kind of goes on. He kind of finishes, and he just like, Jesse's flight is already in, so they kind of make their way, and he's like, here's your picture, and Spaceman goes, no, you keep it. He goes, sir, I can't take this. He goes, no, you take it. This is He goes, all you got is your 4-year-old memories. You got to remember your daddy like a man.
Yes.
And he gives him that picture. And then there's like a great quote. He goes, this is anonymous U.S. serviceman quoted in Nam by Mark Baker. Thinking about Vietnam once in a while in a crazy kind of way. I wish that just for a while I could be there and then be transported back. Maybe just to be there, so I wish I'd be back here again. What a great line. Just kind of like, because at the time it was kind of like, man, it's kind of fucked up how we're living. Let me go back to this shithole. Maybe I can appreciate being home
exactly again. And then the scene too, right? Double A, you got Spaceman sitting there at the bar. They've both been drinking a beer together. This great moment of this guy, like, again, in this book, as you read the book, it's almost like there's no coincidences, right? But this story is almost written like, what, they just happen to sit next to each other? But it's like, there's a whole bigger story, with God and all that. And so, you don't know that it's not.
It was just a really good sidetrack, and it really further enhanced my love for John.
Yes.
Even more so, because you got a really cool backstory of the character.
Yeah. Now, when we go to issue 50, Double A.
What a great cover. Proud Americans. This is where you can find the story. It's the first story in this trade. Man, what's just beautifully drawn.
Again, guys, we highly suggest you checking us out on the Spotify video that plays or on the YouTube or whatever. Double A, real quick, flip to the cover of that first issue.
It's a whose hand is that supposed to be? Do you know?
I don't know if that's supposed to be John's hand or it's got to be John's because the background is Vietnam.
Because it looks really old. That's why I was. Oh, it's Jesse.
Yeah, but then you see Jesse, but it's like the story. Again, the background, guys, is the picture of Vietnam, but it's Glenn Fabry's art. Some of his greatest work is
great.
I have the book of just his covers from Preacher, but there's the hand there holding the light of the reflection.
Really? There's a book like that?
Yeah. It's just the covers. Nice. I'll bring that to show. I didn't know you've never seen that.
I've always loved the New Orleans cover where he's like...
Oh, with the snake.
With the white eyes and the snake. Where
that's a great one.
I always love that one.
Yeah, man, I bought that book because I just love it. So if I ever had an opportunity to meet Glenn Fabry, that's exactly what I would have him sign.
Yeah.
But fast forward, guys. Now, we haven't seen Spaceman.
And this was issue 18. Right?
That was issue 18. Yeah. So all the way to issue 50, a bunch of other. I got it, Double A. A bunch of other stuff has happened to Jesse in this time. So at that time, he's in the airport on the way to France, to face the Grail and the people of Masada. He gets to meet the Spaceman and have this great story about his dad. Well, then fast forward again. Like now, a bunch of other shit's happened.
At this point, bad stuff. Like he's really almost like at the rock bottom almost.
Jesse's at the place I was when I met Garth Ennis. He's got one eye now. He just got through being a sheriff of a small town Salvation. He got through finding out that...
Great art. Me and Sam love this arc. It kind of deviates from the main story a little bit. Yeah. Great stuff, though.
This is such a Jesse time, right?
Yes.
We both agreed, and I didn't know that you love Salvation.
I love Salvation. That's probably the one I kept grabbing the most over and over just to read something.
I love that, like, he met his mom, you know what I mean?
Probably that one, and then Until the End of the World. That's probably my two favorites.
Yeah, I mean, and they're all great. It's a super fun.
Great stuff. You'll like the character of Star, Allfather,
so
all the
hilarious.
Stuff in between, between Until the End of the World and to Salvation, all the stuff in between. It's really cool stuff.
I gotta tell you though, and I've sent you clips before in the past, but Pip Torrens, who plays Star in the show, does a great job. And the scenes that are very Star, those capture the essence of Star. Where I'm like, that's very him.
I have seen him, and he's fucking funny.
You know, and I was just like, man, what a great cast to not get the story right. I wish they would have really hit it. I would even consider, nowadays, right, AA, anything happens, right? It's like, I'd get that same fucking cast and put them in an HBO series or a Prime series.
It really needed to be on a good showrunner. It needed to be on that. When they said AMC, I was like, man, this is not gonna do well. This is not where it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
So hopefully they redo it again.
I would love that to happen. But again, so now we've got Jesse coming out of all these things. He's kind of recentered himself. He was on this quest for God, and now he's got to get back on that quest for God after being the sheriff of a small town, meeting his mom. And one of the things that happens between him and his mom, AA, right, is that she hands him this
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest
you're like, what the fuck?
award in the country, right, of the United States. And guys, this is another reason why, AA has talked about us doing this story before. We almost did it for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Because again, it's such an American story. This is why we want to talk about it, because it's the 4th of July coming up, guys, in a couple of days. And although right now our country has a lot going on, and it may not feel like the best time.
And it isn't, but you know what? This is kind of actually what made issue 50 even more, because there's a really cool part between John and Spaceman that kind of captures that feeling.
Yeah.
This is back like in, like 99, 2000, whatever it was. And you can kind of apply it to what the fuck's going on right now.
And that's the thing about history, right? That's what they tell us. We need to learn from the mistakes of our past, so we're not doomed to remake them.
We never do.
Why do people always say, like, man, that song still hits today? Like, man, that could be applying to... When was that written? I'm like, dude, that shit's about shit that was happening fucking 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but
this
here we are.
99. This is 23 years ago.
That's the year I graduated. I was fucking 18 years old. I'm 40
23 years
now.
ago, and when I was reading it today, I was like, holy shit, they're talking about the America we're living in right now.
Yep. I agreed 100%, though. I agreed reading that, too. I was thinking this, I was like, wow, here we are again. So lead us in, AA. Again, the title of this episode, The Land of Bad Things, which is the title of this issue, Preacher issue 50. You got this signed, AA. That's how much you love it, right?
Single issue. So I actually did buy this issue just for this purpose, because it looked like, from what I saw, my brother was buying the trade paperbacks until he caught up, and then he started buying the issues.
Yeah.
But it was like way past. Going. It was kind of way past.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I really don't want him to sign the trade paperback. I really want him to sign
a solo issue,
the issue 50, and I love so much, because this story, I could forget a lot of other stories, but their stories I remember. This is one of those stories that I just remember. I was like, man, this is such a really badass story.
And I have to admit, AA, until I read it again, because I was like, I read the first couple of pages, I was like reading it before getting prepped, and I was like, I forget what happens in this issue. And I kept confusing it with remembering the issue 18, the Ghani story, because that one is such a again, you're right. Yeah. There are stories that you just remember outright, like, and especially for me with Preacher, there's so many issues that I remember. Now there are moments that run together, but there's just like a lot of stuff that I really like, stands out to me. So for you, that's this issue. That's
issue 50 was always like, I was just like, man, this is great, because I was like, I got to know more about John in this issue. Spaceman comes back. He was a really cool character that came out like in issue 18. Salvation is just like, it's already finished. I believe Salvation's done. That whole arc is done. So it was kind of like, it was cool. This kind of sets up the next arc, the next 15 issues, I believe. This really kind of sets it up right here. And again, I told Garth Ennis, this is my single favorite issue. This is my favorite character. And, he was just like, great, that's great.
That's awesome, man.
So he's meeting Spaceman at the Memorial Wall, the Vietnam Memorial Wall.
Yeah, they're in DC.
Yeah, and Jesse's hair is a lot shorter, and he's got the eye patch. And, and he's like, shit, like, he looks at him like, holy shit, you look like Johnny even more now.
He goes, except for the eye.
Except for the eye. And he kind of asks him, he goes, what happens? And Jesse kind of like, kind of blows him off, kind of like, well, I mean, he doesn't blow him off. It's just kind of like, preaching. He doesn't tell him like the full story.
He's like, I don't know what kind of church you're running or whatever, but literally, guys, if you read this story, the same way that Elle Driver got her eye plucked out by the bride in Kill Bill, that same thing happened to Jesse Custer, except it was God that plucked out his eye. So you're like, what kind of story? What kind of comic book y'all talking about?
98, 99.
Yeah, guys. So it's definitely there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on.
They kind of catch up, and Spaceman kind of tells him, my son is doing this, and my daughter's doing that. Yeah. And Jesse goes, well, thank you for meeting me so much. I want to ask you about this. And he goes, I finally met my mom. I thought she was dead, and I finally got to meet her, and she gave me this. And he shows him to him, and it's a Congressional Medal of Honor. He goes, can you tell me how the hell he even won this? And Spaceman's like, you can't kind of like read up. I'm sure it's like there in the archives. And he goes, yeah, but I wanted to know from the man who was actually there.
Somebody was there. Now, real quick, Double A, I want to interrupt you. So the Congressional Medal of Honor, guys, if you don't know, this is the medal that you see like in most movies. Forrest Gump gets it again, a Forrest Gump reference. It's got the blue ribbon with the stars on the thing, and then it's shaped like a star itself. You know what I mean? Like and it's got like an anchor that it's dangling from like an anchor. So it's like kind of the most iconic medal you could think of. Like
it's like the highest honor that you can get.
So it's interesting, and the one that Jesse's holding doesn't have the ribbon part or whatever. But I mean,
because it's kind of just like it's just the medal itself. And
it makes you think, right? Double like. I don't think that Spaceman didn't not mention this when they first met, but I think maybe Jesse's flight had got there and all that. And he had told him this story about his dad. Obviously they were in Nam for a while together. There was more to tell.
But you can tell it was kind of like a story that you're just kind of like, this is not something that we really talk about. This is not something that we really mention to ourselves. And also Spaceman tells him this is like the first time he's ever been to the wall. Mm-hmm. And he finds Ghani.
Yeah.
He finds Ghani.
He finds his name on the wall, which is kind of cool because if you haven't read the other issue, you don't know this part,
Yeah, so it's kind of like, Spaceman's kind of like he makes his face like kind of reliving the memories. He's kind of like, fuck, like he doesn't want to. It's really good, like CM said, Steve Dillon, like he can read the reaction. He doesn't want to say it, but it's kind of like he feels like he owes it to Jesse, for John, that he tell him the story.
I'm looking over Double A's shoulder just at the pages, and I'm looking at the faces, and without knowing, I can remember the words that are being said. From the issue,
Yeah, and it just right off the bat. So we go back to Vietnam all over again.
Yes.
And it's John and Spaceman, and he's like, Spaceman is wounded bad, and you're like, oh shit, they're getting away from a real brutal fight, and they're about to make it to the helicopter when the fucking helicopter blows up.
Yeah.
And you see that was like their last like transport out of there.
And they literally say, I think these both guys have literally like one more wake up, and then they get to go home.
No, it's he says it's 40.
Oh, 40. Okay, so they're they're like in their last month, right?
It's like not far whatsoever.
Yeah, when you do like a 3 or 5 year tour or whatever,
let me see.
Which is really, again, they're close to the end. They're about to get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? There's 3 helicopters waiting. 2 took off already. There's 1 left. They're just about to get to theirs, and it fucking gets blown up. So it's just this feeling of like, and they're the only 2 guys left. John's carrying Spaceman, not carrying him, but he's got his arm over his shoulder, helping him walk.
Where he goes, we're down to 40 days and a wake up.
Yeah, 40 days and a wake up. Yeah, and now Spaceman's gotten shot through the leg, and
it's bad. It's real bad.
I love that part. Read that part though. He says he's like, oh, it went straight through. He's like, yeah, but I think he's
yeah. He goes, motherfuck. I thought it was clean. It went right fucking through. He goes, it was till we ran through that swamp full of dead hogs and monkey shit and all kinds of awful bugs. He probably got a goddamn plague factory set up in there right now. Good news is I ain't even got a scratch.
Yeah, and then I think on the next page he says, damn, John, you were real. Hey, Custer, anyone ever, or hey, Texas, anyone ever tell you?
You want eternal ray of hope, Texas. Any motherfucker ever tell you that?
Yeah. Like, it's written such in a conversational way, right? You can hear their voices. The way 2 fucking, Marines are in the fucking shit talking. They're like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, this is the fucking worst shit that could happen, you know.
And like John's like super positive about all this. He's like, okay, I got the map. There doesn't look like looks like there's a base here, not too far off. I'm like, we could walk, we can, not too bad, blah blah blah. And Space is just kind of looking at him like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I can barely walk.
Yeah.
And you're talking about like going 200 clicks away, like that's a fucking suicide mission.
And what does John tell him? Well, our other choice.
He goes, well, the alternative is to surrender, and that means letting those sons of bitches take us back up north to give Uncle Ho blowjobs for the rest of our lives. He goes, that is Uncle Ho.
Fuck, just the whole thing is like, it's like a lot, right? You're like, fuck, not only that, but like, oh, give him blowjobs to the restaurant. You're like, oh, fuck, man, I don't want that shit. It just sounds horrible.
He goes, that ain't for us. He goes, we're down to 40 days and a wake up. We're going home.
Exactly.
And they start their long ass trek, and he's carrying him the whole way. He's limping. He goes. And they're kind of talking like this is where John kind of gets disillusioned a little bit with the American system,
Some might say disillusioned, right, Dolly? But some might say maybe he was kind of seeing it for what it was, what the Vietnam War was. And obviously, too, this is the commentary of Garth Ennis, the writer, who is, a fan of history. So it's looking back, obviously, because this is past his time, but looking back on it. And maybe he was a young man during the end of it, like my dad was, but and again, too, Garth Ennis is an Irish writer, you know what I mean?
But I mean, it's something about war that always fascinates us.
Sure.
I mean, 300, when that came out, it brought a lot of interest back into, the Greek battles,
We've said it before on this show, Dolly, but you and I have a lot of military in our family. So anytime that young men and women are being sent off to what seems like, their death for no reason is going to make you raise your eyebrows.
And that's kind of what happened with Vietnam. That's kind of what happened there. And the soldiers got treated very unfairly. It wasn't their fault. Most of them weren't white-collar soldiers. Most of them were blue-collar soldiers,
Yeah,
that were from here, from your neighborhoods,
Even in, they kind of show that a little bit in Three Kings, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, Mark Wahlberg working in the office, what's his name? He didn't have a job.
Ice Cube and Conrad. I forget his real name, but
you want to go back to your regular job? He's like, I don't really have a regular job.
Yeah.
Untamable by Amy in the house says, my guys, I love y'all.
Amy? I love you too.
Love you too, sis.
He goes like right here. He's like a pretty good line. He goes, and police action my ass. Nobody's telling me we're protecting shit out here. Half the vials we walk into, we burn to the fucking ground. Half the villages we're here to fucking say we're burning them to the ground.
Exactly.
And, he's just kind of like really gets disillusioned, and he's telling Spaceman kind of all his feelings, like he's really letting it out how, World War II, it was like, man, they were all fucking heroes. These guys were like, superheroes, they were generals were like beloved. They were like generals were like superstars in World War II. And here it's kind of like, what the hell is going on over here? We're dying over here. No one seems to give a shit.
Yeah.
And Spaceman's kind of like, this is the first time I ever heard like a white boy kind of like be disillusioned. He goes, for us
that's
African Americans, it was fucking every day,
And what's really cool too, right, is that he says, I sometimes think, I love what John says. He says, John Custer says, I think about it like a bad dream, and that like when I wake up, I'll be over there. And when I'm over there, it's like the bad dream's over. But again, it's almost like out of sight, out of mind, right? It's like, well, that's how you have to think about it when you're here, like, and I also think it's really cool that it adds to Jesse's family lineage, right? That it's like, he has a granddad that was a World War II vet, a Marine in World War II. So it's like a Marine and then another Marine. And then, I think the only reason Jesse probably didn't become a Marine is because of what happened to his dad in 1974 when he got brutally executed by fucking redneck
and that's what sucks too. You hear kind of stories like this too. You hear Marines, they survive all these bad tours, these horrible tours, only to get killed here in the States where you wouldn't think it, that would happen.
Right. The super sad story kind of John, you know what I mean? John Custer.
Oh man, he gets executed so brutally. I mean, he's
in front of Jesse's eyes, you know what I mean?
Ooh, it's an ugly scene. It's really brutal scene. I think it's in issue 1? Or is that Until the End of the World arc?
It might be until we get to the end of the
world.
You kind of see him having flashbacks, but you don't see the whole thing until then. You know what I mean? So it's like it takes a moment because I think the first story we go through is like the serial size shit.
And you get pissed off because it's like you see what happens before that moment, and you're just like motherfuckers, you know, like motherfucker.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't have been able to do that, you know, if you know the set was what the stage was fucking fair, you know.
Yeah, and again, like we said, AA knows, and you know, he's such a John Custer fan that he really was a badass. But the only reason that was able to happen to him was because he really loved and cared about his family so much.
And they were threatened.
That there was and they were threatened, you know what I mean? So, and he says that here, right? He pretty much says that. He's like, what I'm going to do when I get back to the world is like rotate back to the world is, you know, meet me a brown-eyed girl, have a bunch of babies, and spend my life protecting them.
He goes, I'm going to find me a sweet little gal with big brown eyes, and we're going to fuck like jackrabbits for the rest of our natural lives. And we're going to raise a whole lot of kids, starting with the boy, I reckon. And anytime I have to, I'll fight like hell for them. And Spaceman says this really cool thing. He goes, so I looked at this kid from West Texas again, dragging my crippled ass through the boonies, never even heard quitting. And I told myself to shut the fuck up. You know, because this man inspired Spaceman too. You know, it's just that kind of words that you're just like, this man, there's no quitting in this man.
Exactly.
There was no like suicide mission. It was like, me and you are going to get home. Yeah. I'm going to get back home. I'm going to have a family. I'm going to have a big family, you know, and, you know, I'm going to do a whole bunch of shit, you know?
Which also, too, right, AA, knowing what we know, doesn't it add to the tragedy of John Custer?
Yes, it does. And when I read like, this even more, man, and I think that's why, like, it hurts me even more, because it was just like, man, you know, he does meet the woman of his dreams, and but she's with this fucked up family, and, you know, they put him through hell until finally he had enough, and it just wasn't enough for John. He didn't have a spaceman there. And it's just brutal. It's brutal. He got fucked over.
It was a very Dr. King Schultz moment where he's like, you know what? I really can't stand you, Calvin Candy. Yes. And again, this is why I draw similarities between Garth Ennis and Tarantino so much. And I'm like, man, if you're a Quentin Tarantino movie fan, you never read a comic before, read Garth Ennis and you'll fall in love, because there's so much stuff that's like that too. You know, like I also think about like one of the things that people say like about like Dusk Till Dawn that they like is they're like, man, without the vampire part, you still love the Gecko Brothers part. And excuse me, without even like all the shit that's happening in Preacher, it's like you kind of still love the John Custer and part where you're like, man, I really would have liked to just see what happened in his life, because you're so involved in the character. You know, it's like, but again, you're reading this story, and unfortunately, you already know the really, really grim end.
Yeah, because like there's so much hope. Like in this shitty situation that he is in Vietnam, there's so much hope in him. Like there is so much hope for his future, and it's not here, but there's a great shot where Jesse's kind of telling Philip the story where, you know, it's raining outside and he has like a cigarette in his mouth and he's like in the window, and Jesse's like, you know, there was thoughts that my dad was having right then and there that was, you know, he wasn't going to have this shit anymore. And it's a really good shot. It's a really cool drawing. It's like John like this, you know, just smoking a cigarette, and you can see where he's fucking, no, I've survived Vietnam. I survived so much shit. Not to be trapped by some fucking old lady and her two fucking, cronies. You know, Texas rednecks, you know. You know, so it's like, no, we're going to fucking get out, you know. Yeah. Of course, it doesn't happen. There's obviously supernatural forces. When you do read Until the End of the World, there's supernatural forces that are helping the fucking grandma a lot.
And they ain't necessarily the bad forces that were helping the grandma. Right? It was kind of who you might think might be the good forces.
Yeah, and like, you can't believe it when you're reading it, you know. But that's hopefully me and Sam will dig deeper into that, because I'm telling you, like the reaction you get from Until the End of the World when you finally finish that fucking series, that arc, you're just like, you feel just as excited as he does at the end. Jesse, and I'm talking about Jesse. You feel just as excited for his character as we do. Like, it feels like a movie.
Even if we did it in arcs, AA, like Preacher being done in arcs. I mean, like, guys, a lot of times people feel like comic books, but where do you start, right? Where do you start? So much. The great thing about this series is, like I said, that's it. It's the 66 issues with a couple of side stories that are equally as fun.
Super great.
Too. You know? Yeah. So, in total, what, AA? Is it even 100 issues if you count all the side stuff?
Probably not even 100. Maybe not even.
Because Cassidy's side stuff is good too. Blood and Whiskey. I mean, like, obviously, the good old boys.
Yeah.
Our Space,
which you find out more about Jody and TC and Good Old Boys.
Yeah. And again, like Double A said, they're so villainous.
They're
and again,
bad. They're just terrible.
Preacher's a very supernatural story, but it's also very grounded in reality, oddly, and it's like it just makes it that much more better. You know what I mean? Like I said, if somebody told me that I want to start reading Superman, it's like it would be kind of hard pressed to tell you where to start. You know what I mean? Or even like Batman. I never read a Batman comic book, but I think he's cool. I want to read Batman and be like, shit, where do you? There's a lot of great stories.
There's a lot of great stories,
but a lot of times,
different.
Too, with the long lineage like that, it's like. Well, why did he say this? Why did he do this? Shit, I barely found something out about the giant penny. Somebody was telling about the giant penny. I saw a video and it was like, oh, the giant penny was actually from this old story. Everyone thinks it's Two-Face, but it's not. But they related to Two-Face because of an episode of the animated series. And I was like, oh, wow, I thought it was always related to Two-Face. But again, with this, you don't have that. It's very clean, very cut and dry, and it's very well written, and it's very well drawn, and it's just... you invest it because you feel like you're watching a movie.
And it's great because it's like it's 66 issues, but it was 6 years for Garth Ennis. It's a great big run that, it just, the whole story fits,
Yeah.
So
and you could tell his heart and soul is in this book. You know what I mean? He's put into these characters. So
because still, there's not another book like Preacher. Even like right now, there's not a book like Preacher floating around whatsoever.
Yeah. I guys, on this show, I call myself CM Chuck after one of my favorite wrestlers, CM Punk. CM Punk, when I saw him in Austin in a panel, said his favorite comic book was Preacher.
Right. That's right.
I mean, it's like there's like a lot there. It's a lot to choose. Like, you ask any comic book fan, like, what's your favorite comic book story? Like, contained, right? Like, you just read House of M, right?
Mm-hmm.
Double A. I mean, we both love Kingdom Come or whatever. You know what I mean? People are like, oh, well, who's in that comic? Is that a Superman comic? Is that back? It's I guess it's kind of like a Justice League comic.
It's a DC book.
It's a DC book, but it's like, it's not about one particular character. Watchmen is beloved. It's not about any. Its
characters are all new characters.
It's all new characters. Yeah, it's from DC, but really what it is the story that's propelling you. And that's what propels you through Preacher is the story, So bringing it back, Double A, we're here. Texas and the Spaceman.
They're still marching, and it just seems like it's getting worse and worse for Spaceman. His leg is just... He's probably fever. It's hot. You know that feeling. See, fever. It's fucking hot. You're sweating.
You're
you
in
can't
pain.
move. You're in pain. You're just, he's begging John, just leave it. Leave me. I can't fucking do it. And, John's like, nah, bullshit. We're almost there. Just fucking, chill out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Spaceman's like,
I love this part.
Yeah, he goes, fuck you. And he points a gun to his head.
Yeah,
where he feels like he's already at the end of the road. And John's like, he has this horrified look on his face. Like, what the fuck you doing? Yeah. And then the next panel, you see the gun. John's pointing at his head.
Spaceman's got like a pistol, right? Like, I guess like a 9mm. And John's carrying around what I'm assuming is probably like an M14, right? Like the Vietnam issue rifle. And then exactly like Double A said, he's like, fuck this, I'm done. You go ahead. I want you to live. You're my friend. There's no reason about that. I'm gonna just off myself. And he's like pissed off. So he's like, what the fuck you doing? He puts the gun in his face.
And Spaceman's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, oh wait, you're gonna kill me for trying to kill myself? Like, it's like a fucking funny moment. Like, despite this like obviously dramatic moment in the story, it's funny. It's comical.
Spaceman is trying to like justify it. He's like, fuck you. I'm trying to save your dumb ass in this. You can fucking, make it on your own. And he goes, and John goes, he brings out his text. He goes, fuck you, boy. Yeah. I ain't hauled you halfway across hell's creation just so you can pussy out on me now. You just can't throw it away. This is fucked. and he's funny because like he goes, I ain't hauled you halfway across hell's creation. That's what he calls Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that, right here, this is where you just start trading like racist.
Oh yeah, they start going off on each other, man. And it's no one writes insults like Garth Ennis.
And you can hear kind of like the African American tone, and you can hear the fucking Texas tone.
Texas tone, yeah.
You can imagine it. You can hear it clearly.
Written by an Irishman. I mean, I will never forget, like that when I first had those two books, Preacher 1 and 2, and I finally bought my own copies of the first two trade paperbacks. I lent them to some of my friends that had never read comic books. I lent them to John, Mark, and Adam. These guys all read them. My dad read those first. They all thought they were so funny. They all laughed. And man, like I remember that my friend Mark thought that when when Jesse's going off on Grandma and Until the End of the World, and he calls her like a face like dried up old shit. Garth Ennis has a way of spinning like insults that are like. And right now in this issue 50 of Preacher, John Custer, Texas, and the Spaceman are going off on each other.
I wish I could tell you, but
we will get canceled for that shit now.
But they're hurling.
They're going
hard insults at each other, like hard insults at each other.
And it's two men on the edge, right? I mean, like,
Bad. One's about he's at the end of the rope. He's like, fuck this. The other one is just like, he's trying hard to just get home, and they both have this moment where they look at each other and John goes, you want to do it, pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. He goes, because things are really as shitty as they are, I'm going to be right behind you.
And this is a man without quit, right? Yeah, John Custer's a man without quit. He just gave us this beautiful speech about what he thinks about America, the American dream, what it's supposed to be. But in this moment when his friend is ready to end his own life after they've been through this shit, he's like, if you're going to quit, then maybe I should just fucking quit too. There's no answer. And
in some kind of weird way, that kind of wakes up Spaceman. Yeah. Spaceman, he's like, you know what? Let's do this. Come on. He goes, they're not going to get us. And he tells Jesse right here, he goes, your daddy stood between me and the Reaper that day.
And what a cool thing, right? The way, like, rereading it, to me, I said, man, the whole time it seems like John's saving Space, but Space kind of saved John too.
They're kind of saving each other in a way.
It furthers the no quit in John Custer.
Yep.
Because this is the low moment.
Yes.
This is the moment. He doesn't get to this moment again until that moment.
It's kind of a moment a lot of us have when you're just kind of like you're putting on a brave face, but deep inside you're just kind of like,
you want to give up.
Yeah,
you want to give up. Yeah. And he doesn't hit that again, doubly right, until he's with Grandma and them. And that moment you said, the smoke and the cigarette. I know that panel, man. I remember that.
I love that panel.
That's the moment when John is like, I haven't been here until this moment in this issue. Yeah. And what masterful writing that you don't see this until so much later, issue 50, right? You're like, I don't even know if fucking Garth knew he was writing it like this. I'm like, did you know you were writing it that good? Because you think you would have mentioned the Congressional Medal of Honor in the 18 issue, but not till 50 that you get it. I mean, like, I don't know how he plotted. I would love to have that moment to ask him that and be like, hey, man, like, how did you plot it? I just want to talk about Preacher. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about Preacher.
That's when you kind of like, you're thinking that moment, right? The Austin South by Southwest, like, fuck.
I know, yeah. Or that moment we had at Heroes of Fantasy here in San Antonio. I wish I could have anything been like, I just got to ask one question. Like, did you know the whole story? Like, I know we both feel sometimes, like, I know George Lucas says a lot of things were laid up, but I'm like, I kind of feel like you wrote that later. Like, I kind of feel like you put that in.
So,
you know what I mean?
Real quick, kind of like, deviate kind of real quick. So I was watching Chris Claremont's documentary on
Prime.
On Prime.
Okay, I've seen it, but I haven't watched it. I want to watch it.
And so, like on X-Men 104, at the very end, he teases Proteus, but he doesn't come back to Proteus to issue 125.
Okay,
and he says that a lot of the times it was just mistakes. He goes that when he would tell the editors, like, fuck, I don't have an idea anymore. I don't have it. I don't have a thought. He goes, Chris, you had a plot line that you never went back to in this issue. And he goes, oh, okay. And then that's where he will write his next saga.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something like that with Garth Ennis. Who knows?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or maybe he had this all planned out. But like DC Claremont would always leave plot lines and then he would come back to it. But it would be like later issues. When he would come back to that plot where he's like, okay, cool. Now I can write Proteus for 4 issues. Yeah. And then we go into the Dark Phoenix saga.
No, that's great. So, it makes you almost think, right? That could have happened, right? Where he writes this about the mom gives him the Medal of Honor, and then somebody was like, hey, man, wouldn't he have mentioned that in that story?
Maybe Steve Dillon. Maybe he was like...
And then he's like,
we can do it one issue.
Let me do a story where
we can connect the arcs.
Yeah.
We can connect Salvation to whatever the next one was going to be. We can kind of connect it and pull the dots right there and kind of get him focused again.
Absolutely.
And Garth Ennis is probably like, okay, cool.
Yeah, because if you think about it, right, we're talking about issue 18 and issue 50. These two could kind of stand alone if they wanted. You could call it. You could even call it like the John Custer stories, you know what I mean, or whatever,
Yeah.
And it would make perfect sense. You know what I mean, like a mini trade of 2 issues.
Yeah, you could.
It's perfect. You know. So here we are, AA, right? They decide not to give up. They're about to head across pretty much open territory, right? You know?
Yeah, they're like, fuck. He goes, well, they're like, John's looking out. He goes, it looks clear. It looks all right. I mean, no one's firing. It looks like, and they're like Spaceman tells him, are we going to go on the open ground? He goes, well, John goes, yeah, after dark,
Yeah.
And so there goes, okay, well, let's wait until dark. And he picks him up.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. It's so funny, right? Because what is Spaceman? He's like, well, how am I going to do it with this bum leg? And then he tells him, well, I have a kind of a plan for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you see them in the dark. It's just silhouette, right? And he's pretty much giving Spaceman a piggyback, right? And then Spaceman's saying what, double A?
He goes, I could get used to this. And John goes, shut the fuck up. And he goes, yes, sir. Only motherfucking way to travel. And John goes, Jesus.
It's classic ball breaking, right? Like with your fucking guy friends, right? When someone's, just anytime you have a chance, right? Me and Double A know we run with some of the most notorious fucking ball breaking assholes that there is. And it's like, if you show your ass for 1 second, you are fucked. So it's like you got to be on every single thing, like, and it's just too bad. It's also fun because it's a classic moment. It's like two guys here, they just been through this shit, they're about to be on their way out, and it's just like a moment where, like, okay, we can make it. The only way we're gonna make it by carrying your ass, because you ain't gonna make it on your own. You know what I mean? So, like, let's just do it to get across to this point, and then we go from there.
Yeah. So the next panel, they showed like this captain that's kind of like preparing an attack, and then they go to back them again, and it's dark. You can't see shit, and all of a sudden you hear shh, and it's like, you shoot, god damn it, and they're like, He goes, Jesus Christ, man, what the motherfuck? I don't know. I fucking stepped on someone. Who the fuck's there? And then you see the captain go, star shell, fire. And it's a great scene. And it lights up the sky. And they're fucking in Vietnam territory. They're like in enemy territory. All the fucking Vietnamese are right there.
That's what they were stepping on, was other fucking Vietnamese people that were the Vietnamese army.
And both of their faces, Steve Dillon has drawn them, and they're like, oh, fuck. Like, they have that, oh, fuck face.
Yeah. Imagine this. Imagine you're walking around in the dark, right? And you're bare feet. And then you feel something with your foot, but you don't know what it is. And then all of a sudden, a light just flashes, a quick light, and you see that you're surrounded by rat traps. You would be like, oh my God, I got to get through this with my fucking... And that's what happens, right? Fucking John Custer with Spaceman on his back, his fucking friend, pretty much makes a run for it, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh, fuck, it's like they're in Vietnamese territory, but then the Americans are starting to shoot at them.
Yeah.
And then, it's this big battle, and he's hauling ass as much as he could. And they're both screaming at the captain, not on us, hold your fire. Jesus
We're Americans.
Christ. He goes, Jesus Christ, we're fucking Americans. And they both get shot up bad. And they're like, oh shit, the fucking tank driver's like, sir, I think they're with us.
And they take friendly fire pretty much, right?
They do, yeah.
I mean, you don't know if it's coming from both sides
you
or
don't
which know, side, but they get hit more.
John's fucked up bad. It looks like he's got a wound on his face. Spaceman, is just all fucked up, even more so.
Yeah.
And the captain tells him, go out there, go get him, and Spaceman tells John this is where the medal comes up. He goes, the tank captain, he goes, he was the one that wrote his citation after he talked to me later on. He goes, fucking up a company strength VC attack, helping a wounded comrade across 100 clicks of enemy territory, and bringing him under fire. That was more than enough for him to get that medal.
Because they pretty much helped them get the drop on the attack that was coming to them.
Yes, it was. So it spotted the enemy attack. He's fucking carrying a wounded soldier.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, damn,
they took away the element of surprise of that attack, which could have potentially fucked them up bad. And I love this part right here too. He says the captain or whatever that's there, he says, they're who? He says, I think they're Marines, sir. He goes, well, that figures. Reading that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, he goes, who else would be dumb enough to try walking through a goddamn minefield? Okay, get him out of here. Go.
Which made me laugh so much. Again, this is coming from me being the son of a Marine and knowing, like my dad, seeing the shit that he's talked about, that they do, that they're just like, they've got to be on another level because they just have to be. You know what I mean? Like, that's their fucking job. You know what I mean? And it's like, a lot of it's laughing, a lot of it's like craziness or whatever, but it's like, but it's because you have to be that kind of fucking mentality, man, and that
you kind of
that
get
part
like
made me
that
laugh out
if you're, even like at a workplace, sometimes you get like that with coworkers, where you're,
Oh yeah, hell
you're
yeah.
like, after finishing a hard shift, it's like, man, we did it. We fucking finished this shift, and you're talking shit to each other, to all these people. You're trying to make yourself laugh and everything. You're just trying to get through the day.
Double A. I know me and you have talked about it, especially in our Last Dance episode. With Jordan and Pippen. But I love that scene in that documentary where it's them in the back and they're sitting on the benches where they work them out. They work out their legs and stuff, and they're talking and they're drinking beers, right? They're drinking fucking Miller Lite, and they're drinking. I think they're drinking Miller Lite and like regular Miller. I don't know if you can fucking find regular Miller no more. I don't know if y'all know.
Wow.
Miller Lite. Yeah, like because Phil Collins, not Phil Collins, Phil Jackson's drinking one, right? And I remember watching that and loving it because I was laughing because I was like, these motherfuckers are drinking beer like some good old boys. And then Jordan's telling Pippen, and then he's like, man, sometimes, man, it hits that fourth quarter. I'm just thinking about that beer. Like after work, I'm like, y'all motherfuckers is thinking about a fucking beer? Like, what the fuck? But again, that's their job, right? Because so they're just ready for it to be over. You know, like 80 games, right? Double A? Like,
because it's like, I told this story to a driver I was with today, and I was like, when I was working at Walmart, me and my buddy Mondo got really close. He was my kind of like boss, kind of, but after 8-9 hour shift, of us taking a whole lot of shit from all these fucking managers, because we were running the back room. I was the supervisor, he was the one above me, so we'd be running the back room together, and it was just just taking so much shit from so many managers. 4 o'clock comes, he goes, hey man, you want to go to Chili's? Because there's a Chili's right there, just to grab a beer. We just go there just to go to a bar, and we just have like 2-3 beers and just shoot the shit about our families and our wives and shit like that. And it was nice. It was just a really cool moment after just all that bullshit. It was just like we both took off our radios. We both, we went to Chili's. We just, sat at the bar. Or just like, no, we just want to go to the bar. Can we just sit down at the bar? And we both had beers, and we'd be like, cheers, and
that's pretty much
drink and just like I said, just kind of chit chat,
That's pretty much the inspiration, right? Double A for Just Another Friday Night is that sometimes you need just another Friday night, even if it's not a Friday night, even if it's a Friday afternoon, or sometimes a Thursday or a Wednesday.
And we wouldn't talk about work.
Yeah,
you wouldn't talk about the day. We talk about his wife taking the bus. We talk about my daughter, my son. My wife, we'd be talking shit like that. And, after a while, it's like an hour goes by, and you don't even know it. And you're like, all right, shit, we got to go home.
There's a kind of camaraderie, though, right? Even though you're not talking about work, you're there with someone that, they just had the same shit week you had. And there's just something about like, man, I'm going to just decompress over this moment, with you. And that's exactly what happened. In this issue number 50 of Preacher with, John Custer, Texas, and then the Spaceman. They just, again, in a much more extreme, but they just went through the worst possible they could go through.
You can kind of apply to almost any of it, when you're just like with someone that, you're getting so much shit from, and you're just like, you bond over something.
Anytime you dig in the trench with somebody, I'm sure we've all been with, I'm sure you've been with your brothers where you got to do some yard work together or whatever. And you're like, it's just a bitch. You know what I mean? You're just like, fucking whatever, I know, me and my dad have done it. We've done stuff that we're trying to do. And we're just like, oh, fuck, man, like fucking like whatever was like, it sucked today or whatever, like when the day just sucks or whatever, like, of course, these gentlemen in Vietnam, how much suckier day, but they would probably not take anything away from it, because who knows, that game that they showed after, I don't know when that was filmed, that particular scene I'm talking about from The Last Dance, but shit, maybe Jordan got a lot of fouls, maybe there was a lot of bad calls, maybe it just felt like a long night. You're like, man, fuck, man, like they couldn't wait to crack open a beer,
and that's what I mean,
fucking
like,
beer,
when I worked at Builders, when I was I just turned 21, and my friend, he had just turned 21 too. We're at Goliad, and there's this bar. It's called Sugar Time.
I remember hearing that you used to go to Sugar Time, and I was like, Double A used to go to Sugar Time? What the fuck?
Because it was right there. It was right there for us.
Like, that's where I go sometimes.
we would just walk, and my friend was like real big. We called him Tiny, but he was like super big. And I made the mistake. I was barely 21, and I tried keeping up with him, and I got fucked up real bad. real bad. But I mean, it was just, me and him, we we go out there and we're sweating our asses off, and we're just busting our asses so much that after a while you just want to go to a bar, you just kind of want to drink. And again, it's not like we're talking about work, we're talking about just anything else other than work, just to kind of take our minds off it. And sometimes that just helps. Sometimes that just helps you decompress, and it's kind of cool to have a friend that you can do that with. And this is kind of what Friday nights are for us, So, and it's a really cool story of how Garth Ennis just writes John and Spaceman. They're two different people, two different backgrounds, but they just bond over their experiences and the shit they go through here in this issue 50 of Preacher. And it's just it makes you think of like all the camaraderies that you develop with people, with complete strangers that maybe you've only known for like a month or two, but you've experienced so much with them that something like this just really brings you closer, because you know what it's like, you know what that other person's going through, you know what that other person is doing. And he just writes it really, really well in these few pages. I think there's only like this one has like 30 pages, but it feels like so much action is happening in this. I mean, it's like Sam said, you could really call this the John Custer kind of like saga here, and it's just like 2 issues that you really get to know the character like a whole lot. You get to know what he's like, what he thinks, what he feels, his just everything. You just feel like you know the character in just 2 issues, and it's really amazing what he can do. And we're kind of close to the end already. I'll tell you how like Garth Ennis just in 2 issues. You really get to know the John Custer character so well in just 2 issues. In just like 2 30-page issues, you get to know what he's thinking, what he feels, what kind of character he is.
What kind of man he is.
In those 2 issues, it's really well written that you feel like you just know the character.
You just know him. You just feel like you know him, right? And Spaceman too, right? You feel like that too. Just I remember early on, Double, you telling me that you're like, John is my favorite character, and you always latch onto a character that I'm like, oh, I love that character, but I didn't think about how much I love that character. You know what I mean? Like I'd always loved Obi-Wan. Hell, I dressed as him for Halloween fucking back in the day, whatever. And I think I dressed it in more of it because it was relevant. But I just over time realized, even having me talking about him a lot, you and your brother being like, man, you're like a big Obi-Wan guy, huh? And I was like, yeah, I guess I am. I didn't really realize that I was such a big Obi-Wan fan, because it's like, I don't really have any shirts with him on it. I don't even own that many of his toys. Never thought about buying his lightsaber. It's like, but I'm like, I am a huge Obi-Wan fan. You know what I mean? Again, right after Darth Vader, he's like my second favorite character in the Star Wars world. But for you draw these very clear lines, and it's like, and it's very like, like you're like I love John Custer, and I'm like, I would, I guess Jesse is my favorite, but then it's easy to also like Cass, and it's easy to, aspects of him, before the bad things. You're like, he's very lovable. He's a very that's what makes the heartbreak of that story.
That's what makes it really.
It makes it really bad, because I'm like, I remember reading this. I'm like, man, this is like one of the best bromances.
Yes.
And then I remember being like, I felt like my fucking heart got ripped out. I was like, here. Again, the powerful writing. Tulip's a great strong female. You know what I mean? Like, the Saint is an utter badass. That's my name in fucking one of my gamer tags is Saint of Killers, because nobody knows who the fuck that is. You know what I mean? And I thought the guy that played him in the show,
he's good. I like that actor.
Graham McTavish. He did a great job as well. Again, unfortunately for that show, it was a great cast. And again, if you viewed that show and never read a comic book, you might love that show. It might be. I know Friday Night or Juan J Dallas. He loves that show. Never read a comic book. He's like, man, it's such a fucking cool show. Like, so weird, and like he thinks it's, he really digs it. He has this same shirt I have. You know what I mean? It's like, I think I got this after him. I was like, great shirt, I'll buy that. You know what I mean?
That is a great shirt.
But I mean, he just likes it for what it is. But man, there is an untapped opportunity for this property, right? Double A, because there's the richest characters you know, what's Jesse's mom's name? It's
Angela.
Me. It's Angela, right?
Yes.
It is Angela.
Yes.
Okay, like Angel, like Angela.
Yes.
Like, everything's very on the nose in its own way. I forget, you know. But yeah, man. So for you to be a huge John Custer fan is like, I would like to know how many John Custer fans are there. You know what I mean, Dole? So for me, I know that you are, and rightfully so. Me rereading these, I was like, this is what this book is like. It's like you read it again, and it's like it's like like an old warm coat. You know what I mean? Like it's comfort food. Is what it is. It's perfect. It's really perfect. You know.
Yeah, and then so they make it out, and Spaceman says that they just they never see each other again. When John kind of heals faster, Spaceman's kind of like always like one step behind him. When he's like milking it, he gets a real nice cushy position, and as soon as he gets there, John's already gone to the States.
He finishes his tour. John finishes his tour in Nam.
And he goes, man, he's just like, he goes, we made it. We didn't end up on the wall, but he loves John. He tells him that.
Right. What an interesting statement, though, right, Double A? Like, he's like, we didn't end up on a wall. Yeah. It's like every Vietnam vet that visits that wall, although you're there to pay respects and visit your friends, without saying it, your real thought is like, boy, am I glad I'm not on that.
Yeah.
Because I fucking made it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking statement. And are we already done, Double A? Are we in the lifetime of there's no more WW2 vets? They've aged out.
They're getting there.
Okay, we're pretty close.
I've still been hearing that. Yeah, because when D-Day happened, there were still a little bit of World War II veterans that still made the trip over there.
Okay.
To celebrate that day. So they're still there, but man, they're kind of going away.
In our lifetime, we may see the end of the Vietnam
dudes, yes.
Which is an interesting thing, all right, guys? I mean, these are the great wars of our nation, and again, we're here celebrating the 4th of July, and it's good for us to do an episode like this to have a reminder that it's not just fireworks, hot dogs, hamburgers, and apple pie, guys, that people fought and died for this country.
My mom's uncle,
I love that
fought
story.
And died there, and there's actually a really great story. There's like a whole video of one of the soldiers telling the story about my uncle Felipe, about what he did.
Nam, right? Yeah. I heard that, and I thought that was so interesting.
That was a great story, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's we started this podcast.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, and you've told that in another episode, and I love that.
Yeah. So
again, my family is a little bit after that time, but again, my dad, USMC, first Gulf War. You know what I mean? My uncle Joe, Gulf War. My uncle Bill, Army. My friend Jimmy, Army. My friend Charlie, Navy. My friend Aaron, Air Force.
our
your
cousin
friend
Frank.
Yeah, our cousin Frank.
Yeah,
Army.
my friend
his
Michelle.
daughter also.
Valerie.
Vanessa.
Vanessa. Okay.
Also Army. Your good friend.
My best friend Michelle. She's Navy. She's still currently serving, so she's still doing it. My cousin Jennifer, my cousin Leo.
Yep, Leo. Yeah.
My uncles,
Uncle Rudy, USMC also.
Marine,
Ross, Navy.
Marine.
Your late cousin Greg, also. You know what I mean.
My Theo Manuel, he has this great picture that my cousin Celia posted up. And man, he just has that Marine look. Yeah. He's like in his Marine outfit.
I always forget that he was like a Marine too.
He has the Marine outfit. Man, he just has that look, like that Marine look, that no smile. But man, he looks like a hard ass in that picture. Just real badass looking Marine.
I used to always tell my dad when I was like, "Why don't you smile?" He's like, "Marines don't smile."
That's what my Theo Manuel is like. Man, he just looks like a hard ass. Like you don't want to fuck with this dude.
Yeah, and they are all those types. We know all those guys, and again, it's like this, right? The ball breaking, the jokes, but it's also too like they went through something very serious.
My father too was in there Army. Yeah. So we gotta. Me and Sam have know a lot of people and have people in family that have served very proudly,
and nothing but the utmost respect. And these are people. We want all of you all to know that made a choice to put on a uniform and take an oath and stand for something or whatever a lot of times it's easy for us to be internet warriors and keystroke warriors, and you say all these things and you have all these hard opinions about the country that you live in or whatever. And again, we're not saying that it's perfect, because we know that it's not perfect. We both know that it's not, but like everything in life, usually it's a work in progress or whatever. What we do is work together to make it the best place that it can be or whatever. But these people had to make a choice. They made a choice. They put on a uniform. Now you stand for something. Now you represent something. That's not something to take lightly. Obviously, we didn't make that choice, but AA's dad did. My dad did. And it's like, now the choice is made, because people have to make those choices. Yeah. And this is the choices they made. Again, to bring it back, just like obviously, the Spaceman did, just like, John Custer did. They made these choices and went through something harrowing. You know what I mean? Most of us can't imagine putting ourselves in a position to say, okay, you're going to dictate where my life goes. Where am I going to travel to? Yeah. What am I going to do? Oh, you want me to go to a jungle and pick up a weapon or dig a trench or whatever it is, and my life is on the line. And it's shitty. There ain't no workman's comp, right? AA. I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes. I'm hot. Yeah. It's fucking uncomfortable. I'm eating shit food. It's like, none of us would consciously make that decision right now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't want to forget, too, my cousin Samuel Munoz. He fought in the Iraq War. So he did some tours over there. So
nice. Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah, and, I know Sammy. Yeah,
man. And he got hurt pretty bad. So
And that's what today is about, and that's what this weekend is about. You're celebrating America's independence, and a lot of people that have fought for it. You know what I mean? So here is to them. Here is to America.
To them, not the politicians. To them,
not to the politicians. But let's wrap this one up.
Yeah, so it's kind of like So it's kind of like Spaceman is kind of funny, kind of seeing this again, kind of rereading it again. So it's kind of like right when John was about to give up, Spaceman had to kind of pick him up again, and this is kind of what he does with Jesse right here, where Jesse's kind of like he tells him, he goes, "You see, I got a job to do, and for the first time ever, I know I gotta finish. I gotta do to finish it. I know what I gotta do to finish it, but I swear, knowing my daddy won that thing, I couldn't take it another step until I found out how. It helps to know the kind of man you got to measure up to. It gives you hope."
I love that.
And it's kind of like Spaceman had to kind of pick him up after he told him that story, because Jesse was kind of like at rock bottom too. It's kind of like, do I go after Tulip? Do I finish this thing? Do I even go after God anymore?
Do I face Cass?
Do I face Cassie? And Spaceman telling him a story about his dad, it kind of picked him up again. It was kind of like he became Jesse Custer again.
Yes.
And he's kind of like, I gotta,
great way of putting that.
I gotta finish this job that I do. I didn't think I was going to, and now I got a role model now. My dad, I got to live up to what he did. And he.
I love this moment too when he talks about the medal, right?
He goes. I can't take it. He goes, my dad earned it. He goes, I haven't earned it yet. And that's when he tells him, I got this job to do. And he goes, I'm gonna leave it here on the wall.
He says with all these guys that clearly did earn it.
He goes, so how about we leave it here with all these other boys? And that's when he thanks him. And he goes, you going to stay a while? He goes, yeah, I kind of like it here. And
I love this part at the end.
And he goes, I like how they got all the grunts' names up, all of them. Instead of just the data's the war or some shit. And I like it here. It's quiet. And I especially like how they got them 3 dudes in the trees over there. Like they coming out of the boonies after some patrol, and they only just seen all of this, and they like, motherfucker, someone remember. And then he goes, and then Jesse leaves him, and Spaceman's by himself looking at the wall, and he goes, so tell me something. How come you shitheads never write? And that's the way it ends right there. And like I said, it really does a good job of kind of like setting up the whole arc. It kind of brings Jesse back into knowing what he has to do for the next arc. Well, I mean, it's just a really great story. It really tells you a lot about John Custer, the character. In just 2 issues, he really fills you in on the character of the man, of everything about the man, And I was just like, I was blown away. I was just like, I love the John Custer character a lot. He knew what was right. He knew what was wrong. And he was fighting to do what was right.
There's something brave. Shit. there's something brave, I think, and courageous about the people we were talking about that make choices. You have to choose. You have to choose. Like, this is going to be right, and this is wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like some people might want to say like, oh, well, there's other things that come into play, and there's factors, and there's this and there's that. There is. That's true. That's all true. There is no black and white. There is gray areas, but for the most part, we know. If you see a weak kid getting beat up and getting his lunch money taken, that's wrong, right? Okay, that's wrong, but are you a person that stands up and says something about it and does something about it? John Custer was that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
And I think all the men that we just talked about and women that we just talked about that made that choice to put on that uniform was not to say that America's holier than thou, America gets it right every time. No, but they made a choice, though, to say this or that, despite what these people's political beliefs are or whatever, you know what I mean? Different from ours. You know what I mean? Some of the family members we just talked about, I love them to death. You know what I mean? My Uncle Bill, my Uncle Joe, my cousin Frank. Nothing will ever take away that I appreciate what they did when they made that choice and put that uniform on and swore that oath and did what they had to do, in their time in the military. Because, again, it's easy to not, it's easy to waffle. You know what I mean? It's easy to say like, well, I like all these things that this side says, but I like all these things that this side says too. I like a little bit of both. Well, that's easy. You know what I mean? It's like, what's hard is to say, okay, but I have to make a choice now and stand up for something and stand up for what's right. There's that great quote, right, by Captain America in the comic books about like, they reference it in, is it Winter Soldier? When Sharon died, when Captain Carter dies, and she's not Captain Carter there, but when she dies, and I think the daughter, Sharon Carter, who says it, she's like, you plant yourself and you say, this is, I'm not going to let, if the people that are in power are doing what's wrong, I'm going to let you know that it's wrong.
Yeah.
You can't tell me because you make something law, oddly, which what's happening now. You know what I mean? You can't make things law. It doesn't mean that it's right.
And that's a great thing too about some of these sheriffs. They have said just because it's law, we're not gonna go out there and persecute them. We got other bigger things to worry about than fucking women wanting to do what was right to them. We're here to catch murderers, rapists, sex traffickers.
Yeah, people that taking kids, people that are hurting kids.
Yeah,
that's way
that's
way
a crime.
More important.
They go what people want to do with their own bodies. That's their choice. So. And you just got to do what's right and what's wrong. It doesn't matter what the law says. It's what you think is right, and what's going on right now is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what John has that point of view. John knows what's fucking right and what's wrong. And Garth Ennis, focuses his beliefs into that character of, this is it's fucking wrong. This whole thing is wrong. This whole fucking ideology of what we're over here for was wrong,
And this is a guy that was the son of a veteran that obviously fought in the Great War and that was like still formed these ideals, because that's the one thing I love about Jesse's parents is that they're not dumb people. Although they may come from small backgrounds, they're not stupid. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're very much the fabric of what America's woven of, and that is important into the character, into the man that Jesse Custer becomes. But that he came from these good people. Again, right? He meets his mom. Jesse's parents meet when Jesse's dad John is getting off of coming back from Vietnam, and his mom is protesting. Angela's Angela.
I believe so.
I think so. I think you're right. They're protesting, and she's just rolling with these people that are like anti-Vietnam and anti-war, whatever, and she spits on him and calls him a baby killer, and despite that, they still fall in love and all that or whatever, and like I said, he's used to his dad coming home to a hero's welcome from World War II, and here he comes home to something much different, and she even tells me later, she's like, I don't know why I did that. I can't believe that I spit on you. I can't believe that I yelled that at you. You know what I mean? Like,
I think he even. Oh, Christina Custer.
Oh, we shouldn't forget now.
All right, no shit.
Christina.
Yeah.
Forgive us for that. Again, we talk about our favorite comic book
think.
and stuff.
She calls herself Jody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Langell.
That's why I'm getting the
Langell.
fucking
Yeah, right. That I remember too now. Yeah, it's been a while since I reread. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The names are kind of
it's Christina Custer.
Christina Custer, originally Christina Langell. But as you read through it, I mean, again, the characters are kind of bigger again than their own names. It's like they're like, this isn't a superhero book. There's no capes. You know what I mean? There's the stuff's not like that. I mean, it's just different or whatever. It's just a great read. I mean, like truly a graphic novel. As people say. But again,
I just like the characters. Like I said, I like the characters that just have such strong convictions and they know what's right and what's wrong. Mm-hmm. Like in their head, they know, no, this is not right. No, right. I'm not going to leave you behind. No, I'm not going to let you kill yourself. We're going to make this. After all the shit that we've been through, we're going to make this, we're going to make this all the way into the end. And, and that's what, like you said, that's what just makes it so much tragic when you read how John meets his end, and then you just read how much bullshit he went through, and you're just like, golly,
yeah,
like, man, that fucking sucks so much. And I think that's why you get such a better feeling when you're reading it till the end of the world, when Jesse kind of gets revenge. It's almost like Jesse gets revenge for John, almost.
Yes,
in a sense. It's like you said. It's like you said when he gets that lighter back. It's like he gets fucking John back.
Yeah.
In a way. Like,
that's like King Arthur getting back Excalibur.
Yeah.
That's like I've been reading lately about how they're saying like the Skywalker lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber is like the Excalibur of the Star Wars universe. And I was like, wow, what a great thought. You know what I mean? And they're like, it passes to the hands of where it needs to be. I really love that. Real quick, I just wanted to look it up real quick because I do love the quote, but it's the Captain America quote from the comic book. It probably is by Brubaker. I'm not sure if it is or not. I'd have to look at it. If somebody can correct me, by all means, please do. But the quote is wonderful. It says, "Doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians or the mob say. Doesn't matter if the whole country decides something wrong is something right. The nation was founded on one principle above all else. The requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the world, no, you move." Captain America. I love that. I love that. And that's exactly the place that we're at in the world right now. You know what I mean?
It's ugly.
It's ugly, and it doesn't matter that Double A. The other day, again, thank you to Foxy Roxy for inviting us out to Gibson's Tavern for karaoke on Wednesday, which I think will be continuing now. So go check them out. But I like to sing "Cult of Personality." It's a song I like to sing when my first time karaokeing somewhere. And actually, I think it might not even have been there. It might have been at Luchador, but I hadn't had a chance to sing that since the recent decision happened, and we won't go into it because we're not political here. But singing it after that happened had a kind of a new meaning because I was like, that's what they're kind of saying.
It is.
What I mean, that's the thing is to, they're telling you 1 and 1 makes 3, but does that make it the truth? You know what I mean? It doesn't,
Yeah, it's like even like in Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, there's like at the end of the song he goes, they'll tell you, black is really white, the sun is just the moon at night, and all this shit. They'll blind your eyes and steal your dreams, it's heaven and hell.
Damn, that's a great line. That's
yeah,
a great
like
shit
Dio
right there.
wrote some really good, like you go back and like listen to Heaven and Hell and it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Or The Mob Rules. That's like another one.
Speaking of the mob, right?
Yeah, if you listen to Fools, the mob rules. So so. And
it's funny because mob is a good term for the majority, right? That's who they're referring to. You know what I mean? When everyone is on one side, but you know that it's not right, you stick to what you know that is right.
Right. It's like this country is supposed to be built on just being free. That's why every nation hated us. Mm-hmm. That's why every nation says, women are evil, blah, blah, blah. It's a corrupt country. No, it's because you could come over here, you can practice your religion, you can be free, you can be gay if you want to, you can be straight if you want to, you can practice whatever religion you wanted to without persecution. You can do anything you wanted. That was the whole great thing about America.
That's where it started. The people that founded it were escaping persecution.
Give me your weak. give me all
you're
that.
Tired. You're huddled masses. Yeah.
That was what it's supposed to be. You could come over here with $5 in your pocket and live, live, and build something of yourself. And for some reason, we keep going back to the fucking 1500s. We keep listening to the church. It's kind of like, no, we're not fucking old England. This is supposed to be America. I have a daughter. Now you're telling me, that my daughter can't make choices on her own body. Go fuck yourself.
Right. Right.
And I'm glad that, all these people are coming out saying, if a woman chooses to do that, we're not going to go chasing after them. We're not going to persecute them.
Or places like, I put a post, I'm sure you saw it, but, about, businesses that say, hey, if you're employed here and you have to make that choice, we'll help you.
Yeah.
We'll help you make that choice. It was Dick's Sporting Goods. I thought that was great. Our fellow podcaster friend, Anthony Caruso from Tis the Podcast, literally said, you can come fly to me. I will help you get there. I will drive you. I will stay with you, and I'll watch after you. That's a one man saying that he would do something to help people. That's amazing.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be Independence Day. It's not supposed to be loss of independence.
Exactly. We might need to end on that note. That's pretty profound there, AA. But exactly that, right? And again, that's one person making a choice. Just like when people decided, there were people that knew that slavery was wrong, and they decided to help people make an underground railroad. The law said it was wrong. The country said that what they were doing was going against the law. But their humanity knew otherwise and knew that what was right.
Abraham Lincoln knew and General Grant knew was fucking wrong.
Absolutely. And that is why we wanted to cover these issues today.
Because you gotta know what's right and what's wrong. And that's what this character, John Custer, did. Yeah. He knows what's right and what's fucking wrong.
And he was helping his son figure out what was right and what was wrong.
Which sets him on the course. And again, we can't really brag enough about Preacher. I've told TM we got to have more Preacher episodes because it's just a really great series. The writing is fantastic. The art is fantastic. And we hope this kind of gets you interested more in Preacher. To read it. I mean, issue 18, issue 50, Until the End of the World, Salvation. I mean, man, those are just some great reads.
And if you want to hear more about it and hear us chop up those stories that we've kind of alluded to throughout this, please let us know. We would love to talk about those. AA will get the little maid over here to hold up. I've got some great posters that his brother helped me get in Austin. I've never seen them since or before. That's pretty cool about it, and it's just a really great story. It did get a TV series, but it was not the spirit of Preacher. But I promise you guys, it is worth the read, and maybe it's better that way, right, AA? Just to read it and get the enjoyment out of it that way, because again, it reads like a movie, and it plays in your mind like a movie, and it's just so much fun. It's again my favorite comic book story.
Like I said, the art alone, you can you just feel what the characters are feeling in those moments.
I loved revisiting these two issues. Just today I was like, so fun, so much. I was laughing, I haven't laughed that hard at like TV. Maybe aside from The Boys, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just.
Yeah, you're laughing right now when we were going through.
I know, I was like, shit, that's just fucking hilarious because the writer, who fucking writes like that? You know what I mean? Just Garth Ennis. But yeah, so great stuff. AA, guys. Happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. Remember what that means, and as you're lighting fireworks.
The deep meaning of Happy Independence Day. It's supposed to be independence for everybody.
Yeah, as AA said, great quote. It's Independence Day,
not loss of independence.
Not loss of Independence Day. You can't say it better than that. Anything else, AA?
No, just go out and for the people who are off. Have fun with your families. Have fun with your daughters. Have fun with your wives. Your husbands, your sons. Go out there and have fun, and try to slip away from this idiocracy that we have going on.
Yeah.
Right now.
Eat a hot dog. Eat a hamburger. Have some apple pie.
Do what's right. Cream. You know what's right, and you know what's wrong.
Yeah. And you have a voice. Your voice matters. Again, I thought that Anthony's post was so wonderful. Unfortunately, sadly, he got banned from Twitter recently because of his views.
Yeah.
And he made a great point that's kind of shit when other people are out there spewing hate, and he wants to try to kind of maybe just open a couple of eyes in a very his own way. But again, I loved his other point, which was that if you need help in a situation and you're somewhere that you can't get help, he'll help you. And that's one person making a difference. And you can do that too. So hats off again to Anthony and that particular stance. So guys, we like to end every show with saying two things couldn't mean more, and the two gentlemen here that did just that, John Custer, aka Texas, and is it Bill? Is it Baker? His name?
Billy Baker,
Spaceman. Aka the Spaceman. They are the definition of seizing the day. When it came to Murphy, the gunner, who was a real fucking asshole and cost them the life of their friend Ghani. They called him that because he had gonorrhea. They seized the day. And the other thing is that we like to say the quote from Cap from Endgame. He says, "We got to do whatever it takes." And obviously they certainly did that in issue 50 as they crossed enemy lines to save their own lives. You know what I mean? So, guys, do whatever it takes and seize the day and do whatever it takes. Check out Preacher, man. It's a load of fun. I'm always love when I have the chance to talk about it. I've dressed as Preacher for Halloween.
Great stuff.
So that was,
love that picture.
and I would love to do that again. So I was happy to do that again on this show and talk about it more with you. You guys saw I rocked my eye patch tonight. I brought my lighter, a gift from Double A's brother. One of my favorite gifts ever, like not of birthday, whatever, of all time, So what a cool gift from my favorite comic. So go check it out, guys. I'm CM Chuck.
I'm Double A.
This has been Just Another Friday Night. We'll see you next week. Good night.